minutes.
Thanks for doing this, Melissa.
Yeah. All right, I think we're good.
Okay, it is 6:30 on April 21st, 2021. This is a meeting of the Hanson Recreation Commission. We are meeting remotely through Zoom according to the governor's guidelines on open meeting laws during the time of the COVID pandemic. Those in attendance are Diane Cohen, Melissa Scartesi, Joan Frizzetti, Brian Frizzetti, John Zucco, for commission members. And then we have Dory Jamison, our AA, and Melissa Valkovic, Selectman Matt Dyer, Selectman Wes Bloss, his wife Joanne Bloss, Jean Santarelli from the Boy Scouts, and Margaret Cameron Hickey from the town of Hanson. Okay. Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes from the last meeting? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting that we had?
I will motion to approve the minutes from the April 5th meeting.
Yep.
Second.
Thanks, Melissa. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Brian, you good? Thumbs up?
Yep.
Okay. John, thank you.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. All right. First item on the agenda, Margaret Hickey. You have a PowerPoint presentation regarding the proposal of a day camp, including swim and fitness clinics at Camp Kawani.
Yes. So I know that I sent the PowerPoint to everybody, and so I don't know if you want me to just walk through it and everybody can just view their own copy of it, or if somebody who is a host of the Zoom wants
I
to.
I can share my screen. I can bring it up.
Okay. If you want to do that, that might be easier than toggling.
Hold on. Dory, you sent that to us, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Is it in the meeting packet or no?
it was
No.
prior to that,
Okay.
No, yeah, it came the week before.
maybe a couple days before.
Okay. Oh, okay, PowerPoint. Here we go.
Mhm.
I think Joan has something to say.
Joan? Joan, did you want to say something?
You're
She's
on
on
mute.
mute.
Oh, sorry. Joan, you're on mute.
I know, I took myself off, but okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I have questions on almost every page of her PowerPoint. So,
Okay,
Can she go through it first?
That way, or if you want
Let's-
to,
let's take it slide by slide, okay?
okay, that's
Yes.
fine.
All right, go ahead, Margaret.
All right, so once the slide's up, I'll go through each one. The introductory one is my background and my certification stuff. So I'm a Red Cross and USA Swimming certified instructor for, I can coach Olympians, I can coach 8-year-olds. So that's obviously, so my plan is to have 5 weeks, Monday through Friday, 9 to 3 p.m. A little bit of time on the setup, a little bit of time on the breakdown for people to be picked up. But, that's the program at a glance.
Can you
right?
guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
So you can click to the next slide. All right, so these are my degrees and my certifications. So obviously you can see that my Red Cross ones are required by US Swimming. I have more than required by them. I have the adult, infant, and first aid, CPR, and AED. I have the safety instruction for swim coaches, which is a water component plus, an instructor coach one. I will, if this is approved, do a lifeguard management course. This was really just, making sure that anybody that's near the waterfront knows the procedures and protocols. From the US Swimming side alone, I have a level 2 background check, which is more than educators need. I have concussion protocol training, I have coach advantage training, I have athlete protection training, and I have foundations of coaching training. And then obviously those are my undergraduate and my graduate degrees. So I think I am highly qualified at this point.
Joan, do you have any questions on these particular slides?
Well, on the first one, there might be some problems with Fridays if we have a wedding on it with 3 o'clock. And they're getting the whole camp. So that's the only thing.
Yep, no, I wouldn't use the whole camp, Joan. I would use zones, and specifically, and we would adjust the camp for any other event or co-sharing the camp at any time. So I don't plan on using the main lodge unless there's, an emergency. And most of the stuff that we would be using would be the far end of the camp, and the kids would be, I would think the kids would be picking up and being gone by the time crews came for weddings and things like that.
May I just say, Joan, Margaret and, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, Margaret and I met last Sunday at length to discuss all the details of the program, just so you know. And we did work out a lot of these details.
But that still doesn't give us the information. You have the information, we don't. So therefore.
I know, and that's why we're doing it today. I just wanted to let you know that she and I did take the time to do it, and that we are doing it today as well. I'm not saying that it's, I took care of it so you don't have to worry. That's not my intent. I just wanted to let you know that some of these issues were ones we had already talked about as well.
Okay. My other question is, all your degrees and certification, I know your degrees are current, but are all your certifications current?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
I just went through the entire recertification process.
Okay, then we'll just go to the third page, program details.
Yep. So I would do it like cohorts, just like we do in school, because we know that's the safest way to do it. And I would break it into age groups. The 9 and 10-year-olds would be in like cohorts 11, 12, so that we do kids that are in, for the most part, in age appropriate cohorts throughout the day. And there'd be COVID safety zones for all of those cohorts. We've already mapped out where they could be. And if I had between 50 and 70 kids, there's plenty of space. I've already measured out using the 3-foot, but also the 6-foot distancing guidelines. And as right now, the public schools the students only have to be 3 feet away. I'm living and breathing that right now, but I would try to keep it at 6 feet if at all possible. And I would offer a half a day and a full day. So the half a day would be 9 to 12. The full day would be 9 to 3. And the ratio staff would be 1 to 10. And let's see, it's pretty explanatory. In the morning, the focus would be more on swimming and fitness. We spend most of the time doing things in the water or on the beachfront. So we didn't have too much movement back and forth on the thing, but we'd also do some nature things down there while we were there. Then we'd have kids who are being dismissed for the afternoon. Then we'd go back, and the main part of the afternoon would be spent up to the right of the main lodge. We'd be doing group activities, team activities, walking activities, nature activities, all that sort of stuff. I would be following the U.S. swimming model of instruction, which is quite similar to the Red Cross model of swimming, but I'd be a coach. I would not be a water safety instructor. I would be a coach, which is what my certification is in. I'm hoping to have coach and training programs for some 14 and 15-year-olds who aren't quite there. So they would be model peers that would be hopefully generating the next year's staff and help with training with them. And then I would like to offer 2 scholarships, one for a half day and one for a full day, and that the RecCom can choose based on their own criteria. I don't, that would be for you. I wouldn't be involved in that at all. And you guys could pick 2 Hanson residents based on your own criteria. Okay.
Brian Fazzetti, Diane, I think
Joan,
Brian.
I don't have Brian on my screen, so Joan.
No, it's Brian. He has his hand up.
Okay, Joan does too. Go ahead,
Oh, okay.
Brian.
Just a quick question. And I don't know if it's part of it because unfortunately I don't have this paperwork with me right now, but will there be a nurse on duty for medications if some of the kids are on meds? Because there was, I think, another program where it was required to have a nurse there to hand out the medications, at least if some children are on medications.
So I went through the Massachusetts state regulations, and you have to have a nurse approve your plan. So that's the Massachusetts state regs. And I wouldn't be averse to if a parent felt more comfortable coming up and giving them their meds. But based upon the Massachusetts state regs, the medicines would need to be in a lockbox. There would need to be a certified plan. We do have a nurse who is willing, an RN, who is willing to sign off on that plan.
But Margaret, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Massachusetts standards are that a nurse does not have to be present at all times they just have to approve.
They have to approve the plan, and it has to be every step, all the safety protocols, all
Right.
that sort of stuff, and they have to sign off on it and be available to consult. And
I believe a nurse has to be present if you were, if the camp itself as a town or whatever was sponsoring maybe an overnight something.
right, but it's not a 24-hour camp. The
Right.
regs say a nurse has to sign off on your plan.
Joan, go ahead.
Okay, now, how will this affect public swimming? In other
Well,
words, people coming in to swim.
so if I did it in the morning and you opened the beach up, let's say at 1 o'clock and on for free swimming, it wouldn't impact it at all, right? Because normally we have lessons between 9 and 12 usually.
And right.
Right,
and
so
Margaret-
that's nothing of difference. So I would just have a sign out there, and we'd have staff monitoring people coming and going. And again, it's up to you. You can put up the swim at your own risk from 1 to whatever you want. That's up to you, because you're saying swim at your own risk. You can also put conditions on that.
And Margaret, I think I did talk to you about possibly sharing the beachfront, because we will
Yep.
be providing swimming lessons this year. It's not
And
on
it's
this week's agenda because I wanted to see how this was going. So,
Yep, there's
Just so you
plenty of
know.
space to share. Absolutely.
okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Now, Margaret would be taking care of the guards. That would be the lifeguards, right? For her swimming part and for her section.
Margaret.
So that is up to, I'm willing to, if you want to, give staff, if you have enough money in your budget, to get one lifeguard. And the regs are a 1 to 25 ratio. I do plan on hiring lifeguards, but if you wanted to have your own lifeguard, so that person is we can say in collaboration with Camp Kawani, I can put that in my advertising, which would, I think, be wonderful, right? When I do my promo stuff, to say in collaboration with Camp Kawani. So if you wanted to hire one staff, and that would help, because I know the budget's tight. If not, I can hire, my own, make sure my own staff are lifeguard certified. I have a connection right now with a train the trainer as well, who will help me out with that.
I do have, hold on, I would like to just say one thing. I do have to look at and discuss with town council what the ramifications are if we decide to hire our own lifeguard, and say in conjunction with, because the reason we were able to open the beach swim at your own risk, according to town council, was because we were not providing a lifeguard, therefore not assuming any responsibility.
Right.
And I do need to see and talk to them about this, where it is a vendored program,
Right.
how that changes our liability.
Yeah, and I can just plan on hiring 2 lifeguards. that's not, I just thought that would be a nice thing for you guys to be able to promote, to say, because in the past, lifeguards at the Cove would be hired as separate lifeguards for when businesses used to come in and rent the place, when the other old waterfront was up and running. So that did exist, and that happens at different pools. It happens at different places. So I know it still happens. So if you say swim at your own, like during instruction, we're having a lifeguard, but during the free swim, it's swim at your own risk. I think
Right.
if you clarify it that way, again, I'm willing to do either one.
And again, I have to talk
Yeah.
to town council
Yeah.
about it. I'm just waiting to be able to get a hold of them. But it's becoming harder to do.
Yeah.
So,
My next question is, are we gonna need gatekeepers, and who's gonna provide them?
No, I would provide the gatekeepers. I would provide the gatekeepers.
Okay.
Yep.
And then you wrote something about field games or something somewhere.
Yeah.
What type of field games are you planning on having?
All they're all listed in there. I mean, they're normal field games like, kick the ball. They could be obstacle courses. They're all very based on kids learning fine motor and gross motor skills, and trying to make sure the kids are included. So there's going to be a variety of ones. And again, it depends on the weather, but lots of them are going to be, maybe I can have 2 teams out in the field playing each other. And again, there's plenty of space for that, for all the COVID stuff. But just traditional, nothing crazy, just, wiffle ball, kickball, and some other ones like that. And then some scavenger hunts and things like that out in the field as well.
Diane, Brian Smith and Brian Frazzetti have their hands up.
okay, sorry, I'm have things on the side here. Thank you. Okay, Brian Smith, go ahead.
I just have some concerns when you're talking about a free swim and lessons going on at the same time. We're gonna have
No,
to.
they would not be at the same time.
No,
They would
that's-
not,
And
absolutely
Diane,
not. No,
Diane, you're talking about a WSI with another program. I'm like, where are we getting the revenue for this if we're already offering something through Margaret's business plan?
Okay, so Margaret's camp plan is an entirely different animal. It's
True.
an all-day camp, and we're providing swimming lessons, half-hour slots of swimming lessons to all age groups. So I've already talked to the person that I would hire to be running it, and I've spoken to Margaret about it as well. And similar to the way the Y used to break up the beachfront, there was a section for one group of kids and a section for the other. This would be even probably more controlled from what I remember.
Mhm.
So there is room to do it. And both programs would be done by 12:30, 1 o'clock, say, down at the beach for the swimming. That's something we can play with too, right, Margaret? Like if we need to, put somebody down, like if you guys need to swim later in the afternoon after field games or something, or whatever, we can play around with that schedule a little bit. But there would be no free swimming going on while there's actual instruction if we keep it the way it is now.
How about facilities? Are we opening those up, or are we getting porta potties, water testing? How is that going to be handled?
We're required to water test anyway because we are a public swimming area. So that's nothing new.
Yeah.
As far as the bathrooms go, I would
And my
like,
kids would always have a lifeguard. Right, during the instruction, correct,
I'm sorry, is somebody talking?
correct.
Okay, Margaret, is that, oh, you're frozen on my screen, Margaret,
Okay.
sorry.
You just spaced out.
I apologize. Oh, boy. Sorry, your mouth wasn't moving, but I heard a voice, so I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I'm sorry.
Bathrooms.
Thank
Bathrooms,
you, thank
facilities,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. The bathrooms would be open during the lessons. But when the lessons and any instruction down the beach, they would be closed. We would have to get the tight tank pumped probably only at the end of the season. There will be no dumpster down there. trash in, trash out, same as last year. And a caretaker would be scheduled to open and close the gate and to open and close the bathrooms, as well as clean them. I've spoken to the Board of Health. They would need to be cleaned the beginning at the end of lessons, and your all-day camping would need to be cleaned twice as well at the beginning, and then Gil suggested sometime in the middle, like 12, 1 o'clock, something like that. When they're using the bathhouses in the north and south end. That was what I meant on that.
Okay, and the program you're talking about with swimming lessons, is there a plan for that? What is the capacity there?
That is going to be on the next agenda.
All right.
Are we ready to move forward? Oh, Brian has his hand up.
Brian
Fazzetti.
Go ahead.
Yes, I know we haven't talked about it yet. We did talk about opening up the cove to the public free of charge. But last year, I believe we opened up the cove at 9 a.m., wasn't it?
We did, because we were not providing any swimming instruction.
So that's gonna, I'm not gonna touch it because it's not on the agenda, but that's gonna remain to be seen at this point, I think. But we'll just say, if we aren't providing it ourselves, then again, my intention was to open it 9 to 6 or 9 to 5, whatever you did last year, and have at it. Therein would potentially propose a problem with Margaret's swimming instructions on the beach, unless it's moved somewhere else.
Not really, if we're providing swimming lessons too.
No, it's not what I said. We haven't got to the point of us talking about providing swimming lessons. I
Right.
think you're a little over the skis on that part, because there's a whole lot to go with that as far as financing, where we're going to get the money and all that other stuff. But again, it's not on the agenda, so I can't really push my thoughts on that.
Right. And I understand that people would want to come in and use it, swim at your own risk at any time. However, I think providing the recreation is more of a priority than opening the beach for anybody to walk in. I think because of what we are charged with doing here, I think having a program is more of a priority than just easy access and more access to the beach. That is my opinion. Of course, it'll be the decision of this board on whether to accept the proposal or not.
Because again, can I just put in my 2 cents here, is that you guys are a recreation commission. You can make the rules, you can adapt the rules as needed each year. So again, with the growth of the program, this is a recreation opportunity for kids. And you guys have the power as a group to collaborate and to adapt and to move forward and say, okay, what's in the best interest of our kids? And recreation is important. And we're not saying you can't swim. We're limiting it from this time to this time, and which is also important for people. So it's the best of both worlds. Kids are getting instruction, they're getting recreation. Parents are going to have time, their kids are going to get these experiences. And then we're not saying it's not going to be open. We're just going to share the space, and we're going to move forward with this. It's not a all or nothing deal. I don't think. I think that's just sort of like the world right now. You just have to make sure that you are willing to, I don't know what the right word is, but just adapt, I guess, to the needs of the community. This is it's a service to the kids. It's a service to the families in the town. It's going to generate income for you guys. And then in addition, the water will be open for people who need it in the afternoon when it's hot and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's, there is. So I see John Zuko has just written in the chat, if on the regulations and protocols slide that is up right now, I have 3 bids out. I have 2 firm prices on $1 million insurance liability. So obviously I'm not signing it until I get approved, but I have 2 full $1 million bids that have come in for the program.
Okay.
Okay.
Laura, did you have a question? Oh,
She's on mute.
okay. Laura, you're on mute. No? Okay.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I do have a question. I was trying to put it in chat and then I got all caught up. I had a couple of questions. Margaret, thanks for putting this together. It's exciting to think about having swim lessons there again, and in fact, having anything going on there will be exciting, this for the summer. I know last summer was a real stretch for everybody. I got a couple of questions, and if you covered this, I apologize. I did hop in a little bit late. Will you be quarrying? Will there be quarry checks for people?
Yep, so we haven't gotten there yet. So that's on this PowerPoint. So every person who either works or is going to be, a demonstrator, let's say, again, if I want just like all the kids who came in during all these lovely little nature reads and things like that the campus just had, if I want National Honor Society or a church group who needs volunteer hours to come in, every single person would be quarried.
All right, that's awesome. I figured you'd say that.
Yep.
And then in terms of like the COVID regulations, of course, this is always a moving target, and our town's been in the red, and I'm hoping that we'll soon be out of the red. But are you going to require your staff to be vaccinated? Are you going to take temperatures? Like, can you just kind of walk me through, like, what other than sanitizing, like what other types of things?
Again, that's sort of going to be the in consultant with the nurse, is that definitely everybody will have their temperature. The parents will have to sign a waiver every day that their child doesn't have a fever, doesn't have cold symptoms. So every day at the check-in. So my plan is on the lower parking lot is to have the check-in, and the parents who sign them in have to say they don't, just like you go when you go to the doctors.
Yeah.
My child does not have the following. And then we have an action plan for there to be one isolation cabin if a child does come down and is symptomatic. And again, I already want to go 6 feet instead of 3 feet at all, most possible times. And we're outdoors.
Yep.
So, that's, I live this every day at school. And, right now the classrooms are 3 feet. And measuring sticks, but so the parents would have to come in, there'd be a drop-off zone, they'd have to check just like they do in the doctor, and that's round one, and then obviously all the sanitation stations and keeping distance and all that kind of stuff.
All right, that's awesome. And did you say you are going to require your staff to be vaccinated?
Well, no, I'm not going to be, because if they are, that's
Because that's
wonderful.
illegal right now?
Yeah, so I can't do that, but obviously they would also have to be signing the waivers when they came in. I haven't had a fever, I don't have any of the symptoms, and that would be part of my protocols and manual that if they have any symptoms, again, within 48 hours, they can't come. And then I'm hoping to have, subs obviously to come in and part-time staff. So my goal is to have part-time staff that if they want on a certain day to come in and cover those days.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks, Margaret.
Yeah.
Okay, any other, let me see, hold on, I'm looking.
The Flanagans, Diane? I'm not sure who
Okay.
that is.
Yep, the Flanagans. Yep, go ahead.
Hi, it's Audrey Flanagan.
Hi, Audrey.
Hi. So I just wanted to go back to the 9 a.m. start time and just mention that last year, obviously with COVID, the beach was very different. But historically, the beach never opened until the afternoon anyway. So I'm just afraid that if you continue to open the beach to the public at 9 a.m., you're going to set a new precedence where you're kind of pushing out lessons altogether for the future.
Yeah, that's what makes sense.
Thank you for that. I think
believe
that
noon
is all.
was noon was the start time.
I'm sorry. Wait a minute.
Was it noon the start time?
Typically noon was the start time when we ran lessons. Obviously, I only have a few years history with that, but it was always my understanding that lessons and swim team practices and such swim team practice took place when the beach was open, but that lessons took place. And for various reasons, I don't want to set a precedent, mostly because I don't want to think that this is the state of affairs that we're going to be living in for any longer than we're living in it now. So I'd like to return to something more normal, where we are providing lessons and everything. It would just, not going to lie, would make me feel better. So I understand that point of view. Were there any other questions for Margaret? Go ahead, Joan.
I
do
mean,
see your
why,
hand.
I thought that they would need a lunchtime from 12 to 1. I thought that open to the public would be 1 to 6 or 1 to 7, however you chose to do it at that point. But then and then that would be free of charge for them. But you would need to close the gates at 12 o'clock, which is when her swim time. But my other question is also, Margaret, how many, I know you have 3 age groups here.
Yeah.
But how many children are you going to schedule in each group, like 9 to 12s? How many in that group can you have?
I don't understand what you're asking. So for what? For lessons or for?
We're not talking about anything else other than lessons right now, morning.
Okay. Yeah. So
You said age 9 and 10.
Okay. So each cohort would have a maximum of 10 kids.
Okay.
And so the instruction, the ratio for the Red Cross is a 1 to 25. So I could have 2 groups of 10 in 2 different zones at the beach at the same time.
Okay. And then how long are these lessons going to be? And how are you going to work it so that, I mean, if you're going to have 9 to 10-year-olds, then they have to be in a class. What group, how long is their session going to be?
So that's the great thing about doing the camp style is that it really depends on the group of kids. So I coach and I teach. I'm a professional coach and I'm a professional teacher.
Yeah.
So I coach every week up to an hour and a half at a time, right? So I can break my activities up into different skill levels, and the kids could be, and I have 9-year-olds in my program right now that last an hour and a half. So we have different things. They may be working on kicking drills. They may be working on swimming skills. They may be working on diving skills. So each one of those activities could take 10 to 15 minutes. So, that's going to also depend on, like on day 1 of the camp, I would do an evaluation of all the kids' skills. So there is no hard, again, because it really, right, I'm the director of the program, and it's not necessarily like going to be half an hour lessons. That's the whole point. It's not that. It's a swim, it's more like coaching. I'm coaching them as if they were US swimming. So that's the model that I'm following. So again, it's going to depend on my group of kids that I have after I evaluate them. So 1 week it could be, these kids can only handle 45 minutes or maybe 50. The next group might be a better skilled group and they might be able to handle an hour and 15 minutes. So it really is the morning is really focused on the swimming, the cross training and all that sort of stuff that goes with it. And then the afternoon. So there's some flexibility with that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just looking for other hands up.
Mine's up.
Okay, Brian, I'm literally looking at you and I don't see a hand up.
I'm gonna up and down it, I guess. I don't know why.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Back to the topic of setting precedents. We're not looking to set a precedence. We took a vote about a month ago that because of COVID, and COVID is still alive and active and all over the place, whether people have shots or not, we took a vote to open this up to the public at no charge. Nobody, or I haven't heard anybody on the comm as of yet say that we wouldn't want to welcome swimming lessons or anything to that effect. I personally think that you might be getting a little ahead of things for the camp itself to reopen. swimming lessons on our end, especially if we already have someone that could potentially be coming in as a vendor. Because then you're gonna, I get what Audrey was saying, but we did take the vote on just opening it up. This was under the impression that we weren't doing swimming lessons. Now all of a sudden swimming lessons are coming back into the picture. And again, when we do swimming lessons, you're gonna have to come up with something very comprehensive. We can't go into, well, we're gonna hire this girl as a WSI. Well, first of all, you can't do that. It takes a complete vote of the commission to do things like that. And then we have to interview them because we don't have a beach director, which actually you should have a beach director and not just WSI running a program. So it gets a little more complex than what you're talking about here.
Well, first off, we can address all that when that's on the agenda. Secondly, we're still opening the beach to swim at your own risk. The only difference would be changing the hours. And I have made it very clear that anyone that runs swimming lessons, which I think you and I spoke about this week, we would not be willing to lose money. So the prices and everything for each lesson would factor out so that we would not lose money. So that was a stipulation in putting together a program.
Yeah, but how can you, in order to do this, Diane,
But again, we can discuss that when it's on the agenda next week.
well, you've brought it up like 4 times. So I'm just trying to get clarity on, you have to advertise that you're hiring for these positions. Are you going to advertise on the premise that it may not come to fruition? That's not very good advertising. You know what I mean?
And it's, I'm going to cross that bridge when we get to it and talk the details on the swimming lesson program when we've decided what to do with this program.
Okay, and just one last thing. I personally, if Margaret's going to be down there running a program and she's going to have lifeguards, WSIs, whatever she needs, I wouldn't want to hire a lifeguard separately for that. Again, we're a swim at your own risk beach. I see no benefit to throwing paying our own lifeguard to go down there when she's going to have lifeguards for her own program.
Okay. And I think the reason, the only reason it was suggested was that we could then say we were helping to sponsor it, but that's okay. We don't need to do that. And again, that'll be a commission vote.
Yep, it's just an offer. It was the hand reaching out saying, if you guys have the money to hire a staff, that would be great to say in collaboration with. So we can move forward. I just love to get through the rest of the slides. So if we can move to the next slide. So here's all from the Massachusetts regulations, the designated eating areas, just like we do in school. The spacing would be 6 feet and there's plenty of space up in that area. So there was no issues with that. I would prefer swimmers to bring their own small lunch and have their own cooler, but I will have a cooler. All kids will have to have a waiver, or part of their health form will be about allergies and food stuff like that. So we'll make sure that we have peanut-free zones and all that kind of stuff as well. We will offer simple pre-made food. If a kid forgets a lunch, we'll have apples, we'll have oranges, we'll have little yogurts or things like that. So to make sure that it's a long day, we wouldn't want anybody to not be able to eat, but everything would be self-contained. We wouldn't, it would all be pre-made from the store. We don't provide any transportation at all. None of the staff will do it. There will be 3 just in case emergency pickup people. If a kid, didn't feel good or a parent was running late or something like that, we will absolutely not provide any sort of transportation. That's not within our purview. And the same thing with the special education with accommodations. That's what I do for a living. So I'm willing to work with families to make sure that we can provide a safe place for their child. All the kids or the parents would actually do a pre-survey about interest, their food choices, all that sort of stuff. And there'd be a post-survey about how things went and all of that. And this is a camp for the kids should have some swimming experience. They shouldn't be afraid of the water or not like completely they should be able to basically float and be not afraid. And I mean, my bar is pretty low on that and I can teach them from there, but they shouldn't be terrified of the water. This is, you know, the half of the day is a focus on swimming and developing skills, not introducing them. But the 8 and 9-year-olds, that's something different and they learn really quickly. But like a 12 or 14-year-old who doesn't know how to swim, this is not a good place for them, just, you know, for that background. And that will be on a survey.
Okay, I think Joan has another question.
Yeah, my whole thing is that putting in 2 different types of swim programs is going to be completely confusing. You're going to
Okay,
have
Joan, this is nothing like I'm just trying to get through my PowerPoint slide.
I
and
understand
not
that.
talk about.
I
Okay.
understand that, but
There's
my only objection to having
Point
anything
of
else
order.
would be
Joan.
what confusion it would
Excuse me.
cost to you,
Point
Okay.
of order.
Excuse,
won't-
to
excuse
your
me.
group.
Excuse
okay?
me.
That's all.
No, honey, I'm not talking to you. Okay. Excuse
I'm
me.
not. I'm not
I
going
understand
against
that.
what you're
Let me
saying.
let me make this very clear. We are simply looking at Joan's program,
I know.
Margaret's program.
Yep.
That's it.
But you've brought up the other program too many times not to cause confusion into Margaret's program. All I'm saying is that it's going to cause havoc down there at the beach when people come in the morning knowing which group they're going to go to.
You got
That's
'em, Mom?
my only staff.
Okay.
That's the only thing I have to say. It's in
Okay.
my favor.
And you know what? Everybody is entitled to that opinion. However, I would like to point out that for very many years, there was swimming lessons and the Y, 2 separate entities
No.
using the waterfront at the same time.
Mm-mm.
And it was done successfully.
That's what I was gonna say.
That wasn't how it was done.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so,
Joan.
yeah,
Joan, I've been
Point
Fine,
of
and the
order.
Swimming lessons. They provided the guards and everything
Joan.
else.
Joan,
The camp didn't. let us,
Okay.
But that's
can
it.
I call a point of order, please? If people have the floor, just as any meeting through the chair, please. If John Zuko is talking, it's somewhat rude for someone else to talk over them. This isn't the first time this meeting that someone thinks that they have more important information. The Recreation Commission, this is a Recreation Commission meeting. I thought it was kind of rude of Margaret to overtalk Joan, whether she's my mother or not. If it was John, I would still stick up for him. If she has the floor, she has the floor. And until she's done with the floor, that should be it, until it's then another person's turn to speak. And that's all I want to say about that, please.
That's the hard part. Thank you, Brian. That's the hard part about doing this remotely. And so thank you for doing that. Okay. Are there any other questions, comments, or anything regarding the last slide that was just presented? Please, Dory or Melissa, let me know if you're seeing any hands, because I fully admit I may be missing some.
nope, you're good.
I
Thank
don't
you.
see any.
Okay, go ahead, Margaret, and finish the presentation.
All right, so here are the safety plans. So obviously, everybody that will be on site that is either volunteering, like through if National Honor Society comes in and helps out with checkouts and check-ins, everybody has to go through a Corey process, just like you guys had for all the other training. Everybody that works there will have 2 reference checks, and there will be training with a sign off for the prevention, abuse, and neglect policy, and that's from both the U.S. Swimming and from the Massachusetts state regulations. There's also going to be a national disaster plan. We'll go through just like at school. Day 1, we'll go through if there's bad weather, what do we do? If there's, and I don't know why a fire would start, but if there's a fire that would start there, where are we going to go? And we're going to have our safety zones, and each staff member will have their clipboard with the kids' names and their faces and match them up and go to their safe zones. Then if we had to do an evacuation, each staff member would have their list of phone calls, and the kids would go to their safe zones to wait for pickup. There is an attendance and action plan so that if a camper fails to attend, we can't just ignore that. We have to call the parent or guardian and find out if they're coming, if they just, if something happened to them or whatnot. So that's part of the American Camp Association's policies. Obviously, I'm going to get a bullhorn and some walkie-talkies so that we can have some communication within the staff on the grounds, but also obviously I just went through all of my certifications. Basically, if there is a true emergency, we call 911, and the staff members that are trained deal with the situation. Some things that were mentioned, that there needs to be fire resistant shading or a canopy area. The bathhouses need to have clear signs and monitoring so that kids don't interrupt each other or adults don't go in. And then that the cleaning supplies all need to be approved, by the Board of Health. So whatever they happen to say, I will buy.
Any questions on that slide that was just presented? Seeing or hearing none.
Joan, I think, has her hand up.
Okay, hold on. I can only see like 4 at a time here. Go ahead, Joan.
All I want to do is, do you have a rate already in place as to what you're going to charge?
For what? For the camp? Yeah.
Yeah.
$100.
I'm sorry?
$400 for 1 week for the full time. And
Oh,
yep. Well, here's the thing.
Whoa,
And
whoa, 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 whoa. I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Did somebody just interrupt your
Margaret.
reply to Joan?
Yes, they did, but
Okay.
they just made a comment.
So let's not do that again.
So to make this obviously profitable, right? And that's why I'm giving 2 scholarships out so that kids in need can still do that. If we want to make it profitable, and again, I might have my own scholarships. I'm not saying that there's not going to be, or behind the scenes, I might, if a parent says, I'm a single parent, blah, 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 and can I have a reduced rate or something, I would be glad to do it. It's a full day. It's not babysitting. They're learning skills for life. Swimming is a safety thing. Drowning is one of the most deadly things for children and adults, if you go in and look. So this is a life skill that they're learning. Also, they're learning things in nature and all that sort of stuff. So this is not glorified babysitting. It's not a half-an-hour program. It's a week-long program with people who are highly qualified, teaching swimming and other things. So I've asked around at Hanover and at other programs who are doing programming. $400 is not out of the bar. Some people, and this is in the South Shore, are charging up to $500 a week for glorified babysitting, where the kids really aren't having any programming. So this is an actual programming. Go ahead, Diane.
Joan,
Yep.
I want to say, if I could, I would like to ask maybe some people with young children, if anybody has any. I know, Melissa, you do, and I hate to put you on the spot, but as a Hanson resident with young children, or Melissa, right, because you have your, if I could hear from somebody, an opinion on that pricing, go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, so I just signed my 6-year-old up for a week-long camp. I think it was like $375. And
Okay.
that was a Girl Scout camp. It's a day camp, not even overnight. So it was close to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Melissa, can I ask you, or do you not want to?
No, that's totally fine. I compared to, there's a lot of camps that are running, like Margaret said, here on the South Shore that offer full day programming, and they are significantly more expensive than the $400 that she's charging. And I think, even if you look at, let's say like Whitman is offering a summer program, their prices are a lot less, but they're not offering the same amount of skill building that Margaret has written into her plan. So, I think when somebody seemed aghast at the pricing, they might not have children at this point that they are paying for and don't realize how expensive some of these things can be. So I don't think it's outlandish. And I
Okay,
don't think
thank,
that was a nice comment right there.
No.
thank
I
you.
don't agree.
Okay, John, I appreciate your sarcasm. I do typically like sarcasm, but right now I'm going to steer away from it. I would also like to say that I've been in touch with Kathleen Woodward, who is the recreation director in Whitman. And she and I spoke at length about her program. And yes, it is $130, but there is no goal. There is not, it's structured so that there are stations, but there is no, there's no goal at the end.
There's no
There's not a
skill.
specific skill that anybody is supposed to be learning. And at times it can be glorified babysitting. She also is a teacher. So, she has experience on both sides with that.
Diane, Laura has her hand up.
Okay, Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why we're questioning Margaret about her pricing. I mean, if she's coming in as a vendor, like a private vendor,
Right.
do we talk to drama kids and ask them how much they're charging? Like Margaret has priced her, she's a vendor. She's in business to do this. She's priced her program for what she thinks. Obviously, she's not going to overprice it because she knows nobody will come. So she's done some competitive analysis. She's the expert. It's not that she's not pricing this camp for the Recreation Commission or for Camp Kawani. She's pricing it for her own camp. So if she wanted to charge $1,000 a week, that really, I don't think is even under the purview of what the Recreation Commission should be talking about. Now, if it were a situation where I don't know what the financials are, like if we're charging Margaret a flat fee or whatever. And if it was a situation where we're somehow sharing in her profit, and then I'd say, okay, we've got a vested interest. But otherwise, I say Margaret should price it for whatever she thinks it's going to sell. And she's the expert. I just don't see why we're second guessing it. And honestly, I know for a fact that that's competitively priced.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. I think, well, the interest would be that it would be an 80-20 split with a vendor contract. That being said, nobody wants to lose money, and we wouldn't be providing anything at all with this camp because we have caretakers on during those hours anyway. Or a staff member at the very least. And we do not ask other vendors what they charge. So that is a valid point. And I think by not hiring our own lifeguard and working in conjunction with this, it doesn't reflect on us with that anyway, our pricing, the pricing. Is there anybody else that has a question?
Joan has her hand up. Diane, Joan.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Go ahead, Joan.
First of all, I only asked a question of how much she was going to charge. I wasn't disputing her prices or anything else. Now, she did mention $400 for full-time. What is she going to accept any part-time students, or is she just strictly, or is, okay.
It's right in the plan.
I'm
It's
sorry.
right in the plan. Half-day kids for $225.
That's fine. Okay. All I wanted to know was pricing. That's all. I wasn't asking.
I wasn't surprised, but I just want to move forward.
I wasn't
right.
asking, questioning you as to what you put prices at. All I needed to know is if someone asked us what you were suggesting and individually, then we could give them a price.
Yep.
And that's it. That's all I wanted to know was for knowledge. I wasn't disputing whatever you charge. You could, like Laura said, you could charge $1,000. That would be up to you because it would be your program.
Joan, I don't think anybody thought you were doing that. I think it was just in response to the reaction that was put forth.
That's fine, but I just didn't want it to be, you to think that I was questioning that part of it. That wasn't.
No,
it.
not
I
at all.
just
Thank
wanted
you.
full
Okay,
knowledge.
let's move on. Continue on, please, Margaret.
So as an educator, working with kids, I primarily work in high school, but also I coach kids from 7. I've actually had 6 all the way through 18, and it's a long day there. So I want to be as inclusive as I can. So there'll be stations for chilling and regrouping. And I have this giant ball and these chairs that you can put like rubber bands and different things for kids who need the break. And then it'll be like under a canopy with a cooling station. So kids who need that sort of stuff, that's just me. This is what I do anyways. So just so you guys know that I am, I'm
Sensitive
willing
to
to-
those needs.
Yeah, I'm willing to work with families. And again, I'm doing this out of my own pocket. I'm a teacher. My husband's a carpenter. We don't, this is all, this is a lot of money coming out of my own pocket, even just to do this.
To front it.
So that's my own personal, little thing. So I don't assume people are going to have a question on this slide, but it's pretty
Continue.
straightforward.
Is there anybody that has a question on this slide? Okay, continue on, please.
All right, I think that's the check in and check out. That was supposed to be, so for the safety component, especially with COVID, the check-ins and the checkouts daily will have zones, and every cohort leader will have a picture ID of the kid, and the parent has to sign them in every day, just as a safety precaution. And the same thing when we're leaving, and it'll all be in that lower zone. So there'll be like, tables with clipboards and that sort of things. And the parents won't be allowed to kind of go up there again to reduce any issues. So there'll be a checklist, for all the campers, the picture ID, anything else on there. Same thing, the kids will come in, they'll have, again, depending on the group of kids, obviously the 8 and 9-year-olds can have the smiley faces, and the older kids, I just want to see what the kids are, their
Where they're at.
attitude or energy is at the beginning of the day, and then we'll try to do it at the end of the day. And then making sure that, we scan the camp for anything that could be dangerous for the kids, and setting up, that's just all the daily routines that we'll do. And those are all the regulations, the forms, the certifications of where I gathered all of this information. The one on the left is from the Massachusetts state regulations, and I checklisted everything that had to do with our camp, and that's why I came up with my own checklist. The form in the middle is a health form based upon the Camps of America health forms, what they do for their model. There's also a crisis communication toolkit that I have. So, if there is, again, where the, safety zones and all that sort of things, that's the model that I'm going to follow.
Brian Frazzetti, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the rates real quick, why it's still kind of fresh on the slides. We talked briefly about, the $400. Doesn't matter to me what she charges, just like, Laura said, again, it's going to be a vendor program, going to be her program. But a question does come to mind. If we enter into what we usually enter into, which is an 80-20 contract, and we'll say Margaret determines, okay, well, I'm going to give this, if we're expecting $400 per head, and you say, okay, well, we're going to reduce this child's down to 200, then that impacts our 80-20 split and then lowers it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to offer the discounts, but it is going to impact how money rolls in. And obviously we'd have to, you probably already have it, but we'd have to exactly know who's coming in for how much money. Maybe daily slips could be turned in weekly, or however you have it set up. However people are paying, we need to know how many people are coming in and paying.
So can I answer that?
Yeah.
Yep.
So Margaret, we had talked about you using a system. Yep.
Yep. So, again, overall, it will be an exception to the rule of this whole, if I obviously can't have 35% of my campers be on a discount, right? And so they would really have to sell me on this discount. I'm already giving a discount for the town of Hanson for 2 campers. And then, I'm saying like 1 camper per week would get a discount. So that wouldn't be, it wouldn't be doing that. And again, right now, if I'm my low ball of, if I have 50 campers, basically, and again, I've priced out equipment, t-shirts, all that sort of stuff, my insurance, all that sort of stuff. You guys will be making about $1,200 a week is what it comes down. That's my low, that's what if I've priced everything out, and as long as the, t-shirts and all the stuff I have to buy doesn't go out of the, I priced it out about a month ago. I'm hoping everything's going to stay the same. So basically $1,200 a week times 5 is a good chunk of change. So that's what I'm guesstimating right now if we get 50 kids per week. And so, and that's with 30 kids being full-time and 20 kids being half-time. That's my guesstimate.
Go ahead,
Again,
Brian.
Yeah, it's easier to do it this way, I guess. So well, again, we haven't entered into anything, but what I would be looking towards is, and I'm hoping that this is the way it's done anyways, we're looking for 20% of the profit, not just, we want 20% of what you charge, not what the profit
yeah,
is.
I
So-
can't, well, that wouldn't happen, Brian, because I literally would be in debt. So right now for my insurance, it's $2,000 for me to get insured. For me to pay my staff is over $3,200, right? For me to get my staff t-shirts and all that sort of stuff is, let me find my little sheet of paper. Like, so it would be my profit because I'm spending right now, like it's whatever I make, not my gross versus my net, right? It can't be per camper. It's whatever I actually make out of it because I'm paying staff, I'm paying my insurance, I'm paying for materials, right? So at the end of it all, it's not about, I mean, I don't know what businesses would do that, right? That's if they're buying supplies for their company and to get a product, that's not the profit, right? So right now, so I have to buy first aid kits. I have to buy Corey checks. I have to do my insurance. I have to buy safety protocol stuff. So it's a lot of money up front.
Okay. Hold on, please, Brian. Dory, I have a question. On the contracts, which we will talk about later on the agenda, is there exact language in the contract? And I apologize for not knowing this right off the top of my head. Is there exact language in the contract that distinguishes between a net and a gross profit or anything?
Not that I'm aware of. I have them in front of me. I don't think so, Diane. I can look at them specifically. I don't think it does stipulate that gross versus net.
Okay. Thank you. Joan, do you have a question?
Yeah. First of all, each contract is written up individually, so each one is different for the bartending service, for yoga, and for drama kids. And I don't know of any other contracts because I haven't seen any, but each one is different. And I understand what she's saying because what it is what she makes at the beginning minus what she has to put out, but for each session.
Right.
Now your insurance is going to have to be divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions. Anything you put out for insurance would involve 5 sessions, not just 1. So you'd have to divide your insurance charges by 5. Anything that's being used for other locations would have to be divided by the 5 and not just by 1 payment. So in other words, you're going to have the balls. They're going to use the balls for all 5 sessions. Everything, there are certain things. So what you're going to have to do off of each session is to give us a complete rundown of your charge, what you received for receipts and what you put out for each session. So, I mean, it's like some of them might not be all full-timers, some of them might be part-timers. So naturally your totals are going to be different. So you're going to have to work out a payoff sheet. I forget what they're called, but an itemized sheet on each session. That's all I'm trying to say. So that would take in what you were afraid of that Brian was trying to get at.
Yeah, like there's
And then the
no
20%
way.
would be after everything that was made of that. You'd get the 80% of it and we'd get the 20% because naturally you have to be reimbursed for what you paid for things.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Brian, go ahead.
Okay, just to jump back in on the rates and whatnot. By the sounds of it, it would almost sound like we're subsidizing the program, which is not what we do as a recreation commission. Because if you're not when you're running a business, you have expenses with a business. That's why it's your business and not ours. If I was to start a business called Brian's Swimming Lessons, I would have to accept whatever fees come along with that. And if I want to vendor myself into, could be Camp Kawani, could be Camp Town Hall or whatever, I'm accepting that responsibility. And if it's an 80-20 contract, it would be like yoga saying, you have to buy me new yoga mats because I'm doing business at your facility. If you know what I'm trying to say. If you're the business owner, that's up to you whether you want to accept responsibility and jump in both feet at the same time. But the camp shouldn't have to pay for that part of it.
You're not,
shouldn't-
Brian.
Okay, oh, hold on. Hold on.
Mhm.
Margaret, I will let you respond to that, but I just want to put across the overriding theme here of we're not going to lose money and it would provide some recreation, correct? We probably will make some money even with your upfront costs being deducted from the final numbers, correct, Margaret? Is that your
Correct.
projection? I
Yes.
mean, whether it happens or not, I don't know. But that's what you've projected, and I have to go with that right now because it seems that this is pretty thorough. But again, whether or not it happens, I don't know. And it still provides rec. In the contracts, we're going to talk about that, Dory. And as Joan said, every contract is written differently. So there's nothing preventing us from putting language in the contract that would address that. Joan, is that your understanding as well? Thank you for nodding. I appreciate that. Margaret, I'm going to let you respond to Brian.
Yeah, so I don't care how much money I personally make. I obviously don't want to lose money. And the whole point is providing recreation for Camp Kawani. It's providing a service for children. It's helping out working parents. It's generating money for the camp, no matter how you slice it. So that is the end result. It's, again, I could be a jerk and charge $600 a week instead, and I could get a bunch of people to come in and do it. And Hanson kids, my goal is to provide as much recreation for the town of Hanson as I possibly can without breaking the bank. And if a kid gets a 1 week of half, and that's what a family's budget, that's great. It's the growth. It's not about, you guys will be generating money. If I don't do it, you're not generating any money. So for me, it's win-win, right? It's not about getting that money. And all businesses charge, right, more for service because they upkeep. I'm just being honest about it. I guess, that's all businesses do that, right? That it's gross versus net. I don't understand, but.
Madam
Okay.
Chairwoman,
Yes,
if I may, I do have an answer to your question now.
thank you.
Okay, so with the 4 contracts that we have, the drama kids, the yoga, the paint night, and the South Shore Children's Museum, they all refer to 20% of the revenue. The only exception is the bartending service, which says 20% of the gross revenue. So those are the contracts that we currently have in place, just for your information.
Thank you, Dory. That's very helpful. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
Are there any other questions, comments? Go ahead, Brian.
Well, we're going to be talking about contracts, I believe, within the next month or so, because I think the contracts are going to be changing anyways. The only other way, again, somebody mentioned earlier about setting precedents when it comes to the code. Well, right here, we'd be setting precedents if we're allowing a business to come in, and I get it. We can talk about for the children and rest, all this stuff, but we're also talking about a business. We're running a business here too. And the bottom line is we're not there to subsidize somebody else's business. Can we help it along? Absolutely. Do I wish this program would come and it makes sense? That's fine. Maybe we can talk about, rather than doing an 80-20, going into a flat fee type of deal, where both sides would agree upon a flat fee per week. But
Okay.
as Dory just said, it's
Joan, I
80/20.
do see your hand. Hold on.
But
No,
I-
go ahead, Brian. I just wanted to make sure your mother knew I saw her.
Okay, yeah, but as Dory said, and Dory just confirmed, our contracts are 80/20, and again, yoga has expenses, drama kids, I'm sure, has expenses. When we had drum circle there, they had expenses, and that didn't reflect our contracts at all. They have to supply their own things in order to do business. And that's
Okay.
whether they do it at Camp Kawani or anywhere else in the world.
Thank you, Brian. However, as I just stated, there's nothing in the contracts that prevents us from changing the language. So we can change the language, whatever. I have to disagree with you, I'm sorry, about subsidizing her business. I don't feel that that's what we're doing. But again, I don't have a business background, and I will, fully admit that. And again, I want to reiterate the point about recreation being the ultimate goal here. We are in a tight budget situation. I understand that. But again, we wouldn't be losing money in any scenario that you play out with this. Joan, go ahead.
I want to make two statements, and then I ask two questions, and then I want to put an end to this discussion for tonight and working out a contract with her. to
So
see if
putting
it's
an
agreed.
end to this discussion, does that mean
To
you're
the
speaking
discussion
to
with
Brian?
her on
Because I
this
think I
program.
decide when that happens.
Pardon?
I think
Oh,
I
can
decide when
offer
that
to- I
happens.
can offer to close it. You can offer to close anything. I think the discussion needs to come to an end because we're only arguing about things. My first question is she going to be using any cabins?
Yes, Margaret, there will be go ahead, I'm gonna let you.
Yeah, so
I apologize.
the cabins would only be used in inclement weather.
Okay,
And if there was a camper who was sick and we needed to isolate them, then that would be the reason. And again, for the most part, it would only be outdoors. And again, inclement weather, it has to be raining kind of hard and lightning and thunder. And then
okay.
the emergency plan would be just like the Red Cross we would use. I keep calling it the chalet, but it's the pavilion,
Yeah.
so the kids would be spaced out enough. But
Okay, so you'd use the pavilion in inclement weather?
like a severe inclement weather, like only that would be like an emergency sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
My other question is, are we going to be letting them use the bathrooms?
Yes,
Okay, that was my other question, but I really feel that we need to close the time limit on that. It's just a motion that I'm making, and you
okay.
can go from there.
So you would like to formally make a motion to end the discussion
For tonight, right. And
for
go
tonight.
forward with making up a contract that would hopefully be agreeable to her and everything else, and vote on whether we want to accept everything that's under agreement with the contract. That's all, but that would have to be at another meeting.
So,
Second.
excuse me, I had a question. Thanks. So Joan, are you making a motion to end discussion and take a vote now?
Vote on it, we'd have to vote on the agreement. We can't vote on anything. We can agree to move forward to prepare a contract and then vote between her and us that's agreeable from the camp and her that's agreeable, but we can't vote on anything. All we can do is vote to move forward.
So we can vote to end this discussion, and then we
Correct.
can vote to enter into a contract or to talk about entering into a contract with Margaret. Please help me out here, Dory.
Mm-hmm. So yes, so Joan has made a motion to end the discussion
Right.
on this, and then to move forward into contract negotiations, and we would place it on the next agenda for discussion and possible vote.
That's what I wanted, was the wording for contract
That's
negotiation.
it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Diane, Laura has her hand up.
okay. Sorry, I just was staying on one slide too long. Okay, go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna basically say what Dory did, which is I think if you guys did decide you wanted to end the discussion, which hopefully Margaret didn't have anything critical that she wanted to tell us because she's here tonight and we would have an opportunity to ask her. But if you guys did decide that you were going to end the discussion, then the next phase would be to vote as a commission to work on negotiating a contract with her. You're not going to enter into the contract until you've seen the contract and both sides have agreed.
Thank you. This is the part I told you I'm not good at. So, okay. Then Brian, you've seconded your mother's motion
Yes, ma'am.
to end discussion and to discuss contract negotiations at the next meeting.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. All right. All those in favor, please
Roll
say
call.
aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Brian F?
Aye.
Brian S? Oh, sorry, I did say F and S. Okay. Brian Smith, sorry.
Aye.
Okay. Joan Frizzetti?
Aye.
John Zuko?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Thank you. Okay, so Margaret, I want to thank you for all the work you did on the presentation. It was really well done, I thought.
Thank you. And I really just, my goal is to just get a program up and running there and, get swimming back up there. So, and recreation back up there. So I hope we can come with a, collaborate together and move forward and get this going, because now we're going to be in a time crunch, right? So it's important for us to go forward and get the ball rolling.
Then I would ask that Dory, maybe you and Margaret could present, talk about some different scenarios, and I'd certainly be willing to sit in on that before we go to the meeting so that we have everything planned and presented.
Sure.
Okay, thanks so much.
Sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Margaret.
You're welcome.
Melissa, you can stop sharing. Thanks. I keep trying to move your slides. Really.
I'm
They're
done. I'm
not
done.
on my computer. Sorry. All right. The next item on the agenda is discussion of vendor rental agreements at Camp Kawani.
Brian's trying to talk.
Okay, Brian, go ahead.
Diane, on the negotiations talk, it would obviously be great for you to be there. But if I could recommend either John Zuko or possibly my mother also be involved in the talk of the negotiations, that way you have also business background. Not that you don't have background, but you've already admitted that.
Oh,
it's not your
from
forte.
minute one, you will never get an argument from me on that. But yes, I've never, ever, in fact, I think I've said always the opposite. I'm always looking for people to become involved. So if anyone would love to volunteer their time in this situation, I would greatly appreciate it. So again, Dory, if you and Margaret agree upon a time, or whatever, I will try to make myself available.
Sure.
All right. Thank you. And anybody else can call Dory as well. So I'll leave that up to the individual. But right now we're moving on to discussion on vendor rental agreements. Okay. So the vendor rental agreements, I think Dory, most or all have expired. Oh.
Yes. Well, actually, the two current ones, the yoga expires in August, and the paint with Kath expires the end of June. All the others have expired in 2019. So
Okay.
we talked about getting them into a better rotation, because right now it's willy-nilly where they started and where they end. So my thinking is enter into an agreement July 1st through
Right.
June 30th. And then everybody, it's the same time frame each year. So
Everything will mirror the fiscal year, which is
Yeah,
nice.
exactly. So that would be, and then I think it's probably what you might want to speak about tonight is the current, if there's anything now that you want to change in the existing structure of these agreements, I think tonight would be the time to talk about them so that we can get them in preparation, like for execution on July 1.
Okay. I think one of the things that people wanted to add to them was the cost of a caretaker to be present when they were using the facility, that cost be covered by the person renting or
Yes.
vendoring, covered by the vendor. So Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, it would be, what I would see it as is, you do you keep the 80-20, which is fine. And then, again, we took a hit during COVID, everybody's taking a hit. But the 15 per hour is what I would recommend on top of the 80-20. I would consider that a staff fee, not just a specific caretaker fee.
Good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
You have
Thank
to
you.
be careful of the wording because, Dory's not a taker. And
Exactly.
if their program's an hour and a half, sorry, you have to pay $30 for a caretaker or staff to be there.
Okay.
It's not a lot of money, I don't think.
Right.
Okay. But again, we know we have different points of view on what expensive and inexpensive is. Okay. Matt, did you have a question? Comment?
Yeah,
Now I can see everybody.
thanks for having me tonight. I just have a quick question, comment on caretakers, and I just get feedback from different vendors that sometimes caretakers are there, sometimes they're not. Sometimes last minute, the camp is changing the location and the venue. I just would like to see some sort of compensation written into these contracts if we're changing the venue on someone last minute, that we, the town of Hanson, are going to work in good faith, work with you to make sure that, yes, if we have to move you from point A to point B and change your total venue, then yeah, we're going to work with you and make sure we compensate you correctly.
Okay, we could certainly put language in there that says something like that, or, certain parts of the camp are subject to change or whatever. We would also, though, require a week's notice on what parts of the facility that they actually need. And there should be a schedule required of them as well. I would like that language also put in. So maybe that's something we can word properly as well. All right. Are there any other comments, questions, concerns on the contracts? Dory, how long do you think it'll take to put up new contract? Is this something we have to look at with town council or anything like that?
I definitely would. I would like if you took a vote on that tonight, and then I can prepare them, and definitely would like to send it to council. So I'm thinking the July 1 timeframe would probably be right on line.
Okay. So, okay. I get the thumbs up, Laura. Thank you. All right. So I'll entertain a motion to change the wording in the contracts to reflect the payment for a caretaker, the net or versus gross options, and scheduling options with reimbursement from our camp or the town, as Matt said, to be given to town council for review before we accept these contracts or before we start using them or whatever. I don't even know how to word this. Go ahead, Brian.
It'd be, basically, I'd support it as a so moved, with the exception of just changing the word caretaker to staff.
Staff, I
Right.
apologize. Yes, that was exactly the word, staff. Okay. So moved, Brian?
So moved.
Okay. All those in favor?
We can
Melissa?
second it. I'll second it.
Thank you. Gosh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, John. I appreciate that you guys keep me in line like this. I do. So John,
Aye.
thank you. Melissa,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Pizzetti, sorry.
Aye, stop taking my thunder, Smith.
I'm sorry. Brian Smith,
Aye.
I'm sorry. And Melissa and Joan.
She said aye. She's on mute.
I don't see a little mute thing. Okay. All right. And I'm an aye. So thanks, guys. The next item on the agenda was discussion of nonprofits hosting events at Camp Kawani. And I believe this was in reference to providing documentation that the vendor is, or nonprofit isn't up to date with their paperwork. We do have paperwork from the South Shore Children's Museum now. It is at the camp. And the Boy Scouts have agreed to send along their paperwork as well, copy of all theirs. And there's also a piece of paper that some may find difficult to put their hands on. Dory, I know we took a picture of it, but can you tell me, or maybe Laura, you can tell me, a certificate for solicitation is something the state requires? I don't know if anybody knows anything about that.
It is, yeah, it's something the state requires, but to solicit, but you're not the state. You guys should just be requiring, in my humble opinion, I'm not a voting member, but in my humble opinion, what I believe you guys should be requiring is proof that the organization is a nonprofit. Whether they're able to solicit or not is not a matter for the Recreation Commission to decide or to review or to opine on. You are merely asking for the nonprofit status to see whether they qualify for a reduced fee, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. And so I've never been asked in the many nonprofits that I've dealt with and in the fundraising for the letter of solicitation or tax filings or anything like that. What you want to do is verify that they are a bona fide nonprofit and that they're not just saying they're a nonprofit to get that reduced fee.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this?
Hello?
Go ahead, Joan.
Okay, a 501, you don't have to be a nonprofit. You don't have to also be a 501c3. You can be a nonprofit yet not have a 501c3 license on it, or whatever you want to call it.
I didn't know that.
But you need to have filed taxes for the current year. In other words, you can't go back and show us that you submitted taxes in 2013 and say that that's valid. You have to submit it, even though you don't pay any taxes, you still have to show proof that you filed for taxes. Just like last year, even though our business was closed from March on, I still had to file IRS forms for the 941s that showed we made no money. So irregardless, whether you pay taxes or don't pay taxes, you still have to give us a current, up to date, and going back to 2013 to 2016 or 2017 is not feasible. They have to have a current zero tax showing that they're tax exempt. That's all that's all about.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. That was educational. I didn't know any of that.
If we have any questions on any of that, Beth is the one to ask, because she's the one that knows all those individual laws.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to ask Brian Smith and Brian Frizzetti if anybody has, or anybody else has any questions on this.
Diane, we should be able to see a 501c3 on the link. So even though we don't see the paper, we should be able to go on the state website and see that. And a couple of these I'm not seeing, and others are the same.
Some of the 501c3s do business as other names, And that's for the purpose of federal versus state and local.
Okay, and then we need to know what those DBAs are. Because
Okay, but if
I
the
couldn't
people,
find the Friends of St. Camp Kawani at
okay,
all.
however, Brian, if the paperwork is on record with the camp, a copy of that,
Current,
then,
yep,
I'm sorry?
current paperwork, yep.
Yeah, it was an assumption. I apologize for not stating it. Then you don't have to look for it. And the only persons that need to bring it forth are the people that are going to actually do events at the camp. And we have the South Shore Children's Museum right now. The Scouts are going to provide it, and they're the only ones that have committed to holding events at the camp right now.
We're just trying to have transparency here because of past concerns. That's all we're asking here.
Right. And as soon as someone, and I agree, and as soon as someone, we do have paperwork from the South Shore Children's Museum. Mr. Santorelli, who had to leave this meeting, has said he will provide that for us. So if, because he needs to do the canned fundraising for the Eagle Scout project. And there's been nobody else, whether it's the Friends or anybody else, that has claimed to be a 501c3 who's doing an event at the camp. So until that happens, we don't need the paperwork. When it does happen, we will require that of them. If you want to go look on the links in the computer, you can take a look at the paperwork. Dory can certainly show you, but it is not up to her to research it or provide anything else.
Not asking her to.
No,
but-
I know. I just want to make it clear. So I don't know. Does that answer the question?
All we're looking for is covering our bases, that's all. And
Right.
And if
And
they provide it, we should be able to see it regardless of the DBA or whatever name they're calling under. That's all.
Okay. But if you have the paperwork at the camp, you'll know where to look and you'll know what the DBAs are and stuff like that.
Well, we saw it waived last meeting, so it
But
hasn't been provided.
It's
And
provided now.
when we do things on a facility side, we pull permits. So we should be doing the same on the event side as far as paperwork.
And I agree with you. Absolutely. It covers everybody's butt and makes
course.
everything above board. And I agree with that. But I'm telling you now that the information is there. So if you want to look at any of it, I'm sure Dory can show you copies. Right, Dory, or no?
Yes, I have all the copies now in the office on file,
Okay.
Okay,
and I'll be happy to
So
send
we're-
them out if you so just want me to.
as long as they're there, that's all we ask.
Yep.
Okay. Joan, go ahead.
Do we have a copy of the Friends? Because the last story walk, they were sponsors of, and we have checks that were made out to the Friends instead of to the camp. So therefore, we have to have something on them for them to sign over those checks to us.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
so that
true.
needs to be taken care of too.
Thank you. You're right, Joan. Thank you on that. Dory, did those checks get over to the Friends?
No, they're still because they're on file at the camp. Because we didn't, at the last meeting, there wasn't a vote to do that. So just the checks are sitting there waiting basically for a vote to, if you want to take that tonight. Well, it's not really on the agenda, but that does, we do need to do something with those checks that are sitting there.
Right. And I think if we have the correct paperwork in the office, we can give that money to the Friends and they in turn can give it to the camp.
Yeah,
Brian,
if
Fezzetti? Oh, sorry, Joan.
Nope, that's
Dory.
it.
Blah, blah.
I was just going to say, if the commission wanted to take a vote of where to send those checks, that would be I would love that.
Okay,
I'm just looking at the agenda, making sure that that's appropriate.
we could do it under old business because this was discussed at the last.
Yes,
Either
we was
that or
discussed.
because we
Um,
are discussing nonprofits, it would still be working.
How about the Friends of the Children's Museum?
I'm sorry?
Oh, they were talking about us?
No, we didn't do a story walk.
Wes, you're not muted.
Oh, okay. All right, I would just say, let's be careful here. I just keep hearing Friends, but I am assuming you're discussing the Friends of the Children's Museum, because the
No.
Friends of Kawani haven't sponsored anything in years.
Yes,
Right.
you have. On the last story walk, your name was listed in there as being one of the ones, and the checks had to be made out to you because that was how Juvie set it up. So, I mean, I'm only in the middleman here in that the checks that came from the water, different places that donated monies, I forget how much money out of it was $750 all total. But the checks were made out to the Friends of Camp Kawani because that was how they were told to make it out. So you may not have been involved, but yet you indirectly became involved.
Joan
because
is
of that.
correct. Joan is
Okay.
correct, Wes. I think this happened. Sorry, I only have half your face. This was something I believe that was worked out. Thank you. With Juvie, and I could be speaking out of turn. I don't know, but I think it was set up between Juvie and Joanne. Brian Frizzetti, did you have a question?
I
Comment?
think
Whatever.
Laura Fitzgerald Clements had her hand up for a while, but must be getting tired by now.
I'm sorry. I do not see any hands. It's so weird.
And then
Go ahead,
after that,
Laura.
if I press something.
Yeah, I think just to kind of tie the bow on this, on the nonprofit thing, I think you guys should probably look at your policies and procedures and update them just so that it's abundantly clear that you're looking for an official letter from either the attorney, the state, or from the IRS acknowledging that somebody is a 501c3, and then probably put in the absence of that other documentation as the Recreation Commission may mutually agree upon, just in the event to address Joan's issue.
Thanks, Laura. We're going to do that. We've been trying to get in touch. I've been asking for the phone number for our town council and have been unable to get it. So maybe you can help me
Okay.
with that.
Well, I would reach out to our chair, Kenny. He really controls the dialogue with town council. So
Okay.
I would reach out to him and let him know about your travails. I'm sorry to hear about them, but I'm sure that Kenny can help you.
Thank you. I will do that.
Yeah, 1 year.
Hold on. Who's Brian? Go ahead.
Smith or Frizzetti? Frizzetti?
Frizzetti, sorry.
All right,
And I'm going to apologize for anybody that does have a hand up, and I don't see, sometimes I see thumbs ups. I don't always see hands. I apologize.
Brian Smith has his hand up next.
Are you serious? How come I can't see it? Is there anything you can,
I
where
can
should
see
I
it.
do it?
I can see it.
What am I looking? I'm sorry. It worked last time. I don't know why I can't see.
Maybe change your view to gallery view.
I have a gallery view on.
Yeah, I can't see anyone's hands up or anything either.
I do indeed have a gallery view on. So again, I'm going to apologize for that.
I see
Brian
Brian.
Frizzetti, go ahead.
Just want to address two things really quick. About a month or so ago, we discussed the thing with legal counsel holding our policies and procedures hostage since 2018. And there was a lot of things that were in policies and procedures that, due to a position loss or it's not there anymore, that I have to still go back in there and back a lot of the wording out that I worked with legal counsel. And then if we need to go forward from there, because a lot of things say AA reports to rec director, this person reports to rec director. At this time, that position is vacant. So it's kind of hard to say report to that person if they're not there anymore. There's a number of other things that you guys have asked me to add, but I haven't added because, again, it's been in legal counsel's hands. So we took a vote, again, probably about 2 or 3 meetings ago, to bring it back to me, let me go fix it, revise it, bring
Right.
it back to the commission, And from that point, I think at that point, hand it over to the Board of Selectmen. If they choose that it needs legal counsel to look over, I would let the Board of Selectmen make that decision, whereas they do oversee us. I don't think these changes are, we're not writing bylaws of the town, and
I
I
know.
have enough faith.
They weren't that drastic.
Right. I have enough faith in the Board of Selectmen that if there's something out of sorts, they're gonna pick it up. I mean, that's what they do. As far as the Friends of Camp Kawani check thing, to get back onto that, and hopefully we could put this to rest. I would ask that a motion go through to release the checks to Friends of Camp Kawani under the condition that they sign a check right back over to us for the same exact amount that the checks are released to. That would be one motion. And if that motion is not carried, then I have another one.
Okay, I'm gonna let Joanne has her hand up. So go ahead, Joanne.
Okay, you can't make that motion because it interferes with our difference, what do I want to say? We can take the checks because they're made out to us, but then we have to vote as a board to pay bills with that money. We cannot just, that'd be like laundering money. We can accept the checks. Those people get a credit because we're a 501c3, but then any money that then you have to give us the bill as a board to pay those bills. We can't just take the check, endorse it, and give it back to you. That would be illegal for us.
Okay, I have a question, Joanne.
Okay.
What would the proper procedure be to see that the monies that were in good faith expected to come to the camp, how would that money get to the camp?
It could only, we can't donate to you. You can give us, the original premise was that we accept those checks, the people get the credit, the tax credit, you give us the bill, and we pay the bill with those funds. And that's how it works. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
You guys-
I understand what you're saying. I
But
do have a question. Oh, sorry.
No, I can't. You're asking me if the bill is for $250 and the check was for $259, I can't give you those $9.
Right. I know. I understand that.
Okay. All right. I'm
yes,
sorry. I
no.
didn't know.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
But I thought I was under the impression that also the Friends could deem what they wanted, that you could agree or disagree about what to actually pay for. Like if we handed you a bill for something, a repair to the fireplace or something, or a versus something else that needed to be done at the camp, whatever. Is it my understanding, am I correct in thinking that the Friends have the option of saying, no, we don't want to support that?
Yes, we have that option.
Okay.
And it would have to match our mission statement. I did pass in our 501c3 credentials, and I did pass in to Dory our mission statement. So we are obliged legally to honor both those documents. So that's why you can't just say to me, I have a heating bill, will you pay for some of it? I can't do, the Friends can't do that. Do you know what I mean?
No, yes.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna take questions. I'm picking your mother this time first, Brian. Go ahead, Joan.
Okay. My only thing is that those people donated that money thinking it was going to the camp.
Right.
And therefore, and the Friends were an intermediary. So the only thing we can do to back out of this is to go back to the people that made the donations and ask them, would they please rip up what they made out to the Friends and remake them to the camp so that the camp will get the money to do what it's supposed to be doing with it.
It has to
And
be
I
made
don't
out
see
to
why
the,
we can't. That is a legal question.
you're right. No, I understand what you're saying, but I believe it has to be made out to the town.
Well, to the town for the camp, but it still works out.
And then the board, and then I know, Laura, and then the Board of Selectmen can,
transfer it over to accept it as a donation.
correct.
But I, as far as I know, we can still accept donations. There's nothing in the laws, then that's something you'd have to check with Beth. But as far as I know, we can accept donations.
We absolutely
Anybody.
can.
Yeah.
We,
Okay,
I
so
checked,
That
I
would be
checked
the
into
same
that.
thing as what this mess is all about.
Right. So, okay, that might work then. All right. Brian Frizzetti.
You stole my thunder, but besides that,
I think you've had quite enough thunder for one night,
Yeah, I
Brian.
know.
Thank you.
I'm good at that.
Well, that's a
my
matter of opinion, but go ahead.
my secondary motion, obviously I'm going to retract the last one because that didn't work, would be to reach out to, because I talked to 3 of the vendors myself and they were 100% told that money was to be used for the camp to help pay for the winter story walk, which cost us $1,000. So it was going to offset some of the costs of that.
Right.
Now, they weren't very happy to find out that's not what it went to. So it's not very good optics on us as the camp. I'm not thinking it's very good optics to Friends of Camp Kawani, because if their name's on it and one thing's promised and then another thing's given, I would guess my motion would be that I'm going to guess it would have to go through Dory as being the AA to contact the people about their checks and offer, if they would like to donate, that would be great. Again, we'd go through the Board of Selectmen with all that. Or they can also choose not to donate and just void the checks out. That way it gives them an option. We're not holding them hostage.
Okay. A lot of people here are frozen, just so you know. I would like to know if anybody else has any comments on this.
I'd like to make a motion that we have Dory sent out and request.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Your son interrupted you. Go ahead, Brian.
That we move to have Dory contact the individuals, that there was a misunderstanding about concerning the donations, and that we would like to have them retract the original checks made out to the Friends and remove them to the camp, to Camp Kawani, to the town of Hanson, whichever way they want to make it.
Sorry, a question just entered my head, and I'm sorry. I see that you've made the motion. I just want to hold it for a second. Laura, as someone that donated Kemet Electric, I just wanted to ask you, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot. How would you feel about doing that?
Well, I mean, I will say, I completely understand what Joanne is saying. Having been part of nonprofits, you've got a specific mission. You have a board that has to approve. You don't want to just assume that these things that it's going to be okay and that they're going to approve it. So I completely appreciate the position Joanne is in. But I will say that we were told, or at least I can only speak to what I was told, that the money was going to essentially go to Friends of Camp Kawani, but they were going to write the check to the camp. So it seems to me as though there's really, I think you've got 2 options that Dory could present to other businesses that were similarly situated. One is, hey, there was a little bit of a disconnect. You can continue to have that check made payable to Friends of Camp Kawani, and we'll forward it to them. And we just can't 100% commit to the fact that it's going to actually, defray the cost of the story walk, because they've got a process and they've got a board and they've got to go through that process. Or if you would like, you can stop that check. You can make it payable to the town of Hanson, and then it will be a donation that will go to the camp. that seems to me like the most logical approach, but
Yeah. And if I may, Madam Chairwoman,
Yep,
I was
yes.
just researching it a little bit today, and at the March 8th meeting of the Rec Commission, it was voted that there was the $600. It was before the last check came in,
Okay.
that it be turned over to the library for the drum yoga event. And that was to make the $1,000 limit, remember, for the grant.
Yes.
So that was voted at that time to turn those funds over to the library. So I don't know, that just throws a
But
wrench in
then
the works. I know.
and then the library they changed the way the library thing was funded.
Yeah, so I just needed to bring that up. I know that's not helpful, but it needs to be, you need to know that.
Okay, yep. I knew we had approved.
Yeah, to turn it over to the library.
Right, because the library was then going to pay what we just had
Yes.
the other day, what we had
Exactly.
yesterday. Okay. Well then, go ahead, Joan. I'm going to, would you make your motion again, please?
I move that we contact the individuals who gave donations to the Friends of Camp Kawani, explain that there was a mix up and confusion in how the money was supposed to go to the camp, and for some reason, I said it differently before and I don't remember.
I know, and I'm sorry.
I'm completely out of picture.
I know.
I don't have anybody's picture anymore.
What?
Anyway. But the motion is to have them, ask them if they would be willing to rewrite their checks as donations directly to the camp rather than to the Friends of Camp Kawani, and we would send them back their checks.
Thank you. Selectman Dyer, I think he wants to say something before that motion is seconded.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Diane. I want to just say that right now, the camp and the Friends group at the last meeting, we all agreed that we were going to work together and move on. And here we are again. Please don't interrupt me. Thank you. At the last meeting, we all agreed that we were going to work together. And here we are saying we can't work together. And I think it would be detrimental to both the town of Hanson, Camp Kawani, and the Friends group if we have to go back and say, oops, excuse me, you don't want to be making checks out to Camp Kawani, the Friends of Camp Kawani, because things just aren't working out. That's going to be detrimental to them. In the long end, in the long game, it's going to be detrimental to the Friends of Camp Kawani. I think that the commission can work together with the Friends group and move forward, because I don't think it's going to be good to start backpedaling on, oh, you should write checks to here, you should write checks to there. It's time to move on. Let's work together. And I'm sure the Friends group will be happy to work with you guys, as they have extended their hands multiple times. So that's all I have to say.
And thank you for that opinion, Mr. Dyer. I would like, I'm going to let Joanne speak. Go ahead, Joanne.
Okay, Matt, thank you so much for those words. But honestly, I feel in this situation, there's so much misunderstanding now about these checks. I don't feel comfortable about them at all. So I think.
Oh, darn it.
Please take.
Is everybody else hearing it? Because
No, it was frozen.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's alive.
Joanne, you went out a lot on that, but I think I get the gist of what you were saying, and nobody could hear it. You kind of.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I was just saying, we don't, at this point, there's so much miscommunication.
Right.
I feel we don't want them. It's too cloudy.
I agree. I agree.
It's too much.
And Matt, while I do think that we still have a desire to start off again and put the past behind and start off again on a new foot, I don't think this particular situation or scenario is the way to do it. That is in no way a reflection of how I feel about working toward a more positive relationship with the Friends. I just think that there was a lot of miscommunication here, and the way the grant worked out with the library and everything else, I think starting fresh with like a new event and a meeting might be the better way to go. But again, that's not a reflection of a bad, rapport or anything that could come of it. I'm not trying to say that. Okay. I hope I know it wasn't very clear. John Zuko, go ahead.
I think, how many checks do we have? I think there were only 3, correct?
Actually, yeah, there were 4. We just received one after.
Yeah,
fact,
Kemet
so-
Electrical, Indian Head Water, and Curry's Automotive.
And then we received a 4th one for $100 from, so it's now $700 from, the name escapes me, but it came in much, much later, like months later. So the
Mhm.
dollar figure is $700, 200, 200, 200, and then 100 from, I think it was a law firm or something.
Okay. Okay, so Joan, I can't tell if you're frozen from before.
No,
Okay,
I'm
there you
not
go.
frozen.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I just feel that this is one situation, and Matt, I believe, is wrong. We worked on and talked about working with the Friends last week, but we did not accept it as being friends, because they aren't just friends to Camp Kawani. They're friends of the town, and their title is misleading as far as I'm concerned. Because if you're friends for the camp, then you're friends for the camp, and what you do would benefit the camp, but with the way that their mission statement, I believe, is worded, is that they can do whatever they want and give. If they made money at the camp and they wanted to give it to the library, they could give it to the library. They don't have to give it to the camps. And to me, when you're a friend of a particular place, then that's what you should be, working for their benefit. But I
Okay.
might be wrong. and
Nope, again, that's an opinion, but I do want to move on from this
Yes,
because this
fine.
meeting is into an hour and a half here.
Mhm.
And we still have items on the agenda to go. So I'm sorry if I'm putting anybody off. I do
Fine.
apologize, but you know what? We have to move on. So Joan, you've made a motion to give the checks back and
Back
ask
to the
that
individuals.
the individuals rewrite those checks made out to the town of Hanson so that they can be put before the Board of Selectmen to accept as a donation.
For the benefit of Camp Kawani, though.
For
That
the
has to
benefit
be
of
on the
Camp-
checks.
Yes, I understand that, Joan. Would anyone like to second that motion?
Second.
Madam, I'm sorry, Madam
No.
Chairwoman, I'm sorry before a
No, you're
second.
fine, Dory. It's, I think I'm getting lag time.
Oh, okay. No, I just want to say, so because that motion that we did make, you made to send it over to the library, I know that was part of that $1,000 grant. I'm just wondering if the checks did go to the Friends and it was turned over to the library, is that the mechanism to get the, Juvies, the $1,000 grant that we needed to spend?
I don't believe it is.
Okay.
Just because of the way the grant was written and the rules
Okay.
surrounding
So,
it.
okay, it's good. Okay, so by making this motion and this vote, we're not in any way,
No, we're
um,
not circumventing the grant
the grant.
or anything
Okay.
like that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. John Zuko, you seconded the motion, correct?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of the motion that Joan put forth, please say aye. Melissa?
I abstain.
Okay. Brian Frizzetti?
Aye.
Joan Frizzetti? Okay, John Zuko?
Aye.
Brian Smith?
I,
Okay, and I'm an aye. Okay, so that motion carries. Dory, if you need any help making phone calls or anything like that with this, please let me know.
Oh, okay, thank you.
No worries. Okay,
Same here. Yep.
Oh, thank you.
okay, because I know you have a ton on your plate. Next on the agenda, discussion on the landscaping proposal for the front of Needles Lodge. Okay. Go ahead, Joan.
Okay, in going back over the last week's paper, I also found another, besides Brian, what she sent us this week from Sheehan and then from Brian. I also found one that has a picture from Peter Scavangelli from Logic Landscape, but there's no pricing. He just drew a picture and put different things on it. And but it was in the packet that she gave us for the what is it, the March 8th, the last meeting we had. So I don't see anybody, but I do have a picture of it, and you would have had it with your packet that you got last week. But my whole thing with Ed Sheehan is he's using all foreign trees, all Japanese trees. I don't know, can he find anything that's this country, like the azaleas or some other bushes?
Okay, you want something more native to the area.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay.
But my first question would have been about that Scavangelli. Dory probably would be able to understand.
Yeah.
That's an answer.
May I, Madam?
Please go ahead, Dory.
That was just part of Ed Sheehan's proposal that he was going, that was kind of like his subcontractor. It wasn't like a separate person. He was going through Peter Scavangelli for certain plants and basically the sedums on that. So just kind of to sum it up. So we solicited 4 landscaping companies. We got one quote that you got last week, and we may be getting one from Alan Diaz. We don't have it yet, but you did get that one. And then from Ed Sheehan, and then Brian Frizzetti had taken that, and that which you got this week, and then put in just a couple of variations. So it's on the agenda tonight. If that's the way we want to go and move forward, and if you do want to accept the proposal that you have before you, it just comes shy of $300 of the money that we have in that article. But there may be money that we could fund in our budget, or the tree warden may have, the remaining funds to do it, if that's the direction that you want to go.
Okay. I would like to speak on this. I would ask that the commission please vote on this tonight, because it is a time sensitive issue. We have the, wedding season coming up, and the front of the lodge needs help. And I think if a business owner presents a plan to a commission for a job, bids on a job, and the price isn't there, then I pretty much don't want to work with that person anyway. So, and I know that Alan, that's not really his forte, his area of expertise. So I would be of the opinion that we should accept the bid from Mr. Sheehan and work to get that done as soon as possible. Dory?
Yes, excellent. Yep.
Oh, I thought you had some. Does anybody else have any comments on this?
I do. You can't see my hand though, I don't think.
I can't. I'm sorry.
I don't know if everybody, I'm sure that the commission got the picture that I did. And I'm not saying mine's better than his is better than mine. But I don't know if Matt got a hold of it, because I know there was a concern from Matt about
the amount of
too many wood chips.
Yep.
And the plan that I proposed was to actually add more gravel and lessen that footprint of wood chips. So that way we didn't have to worry about, any, because I know wood chips can catch on fire and whatever other concern you might have had, and they blow away, they make a mess. But I didn't know if he had received a copy of that, because again, I know that was a concern.
Okay, so Matt, go ahead.
Nope, I hadn't received any plans, like drawn out plans or anything like that. My big concern for you guys was just whether it is stone, whether it is wood chips, whatever it is, and it's not an impervious space, you're going to have to deal with weeding. So, even if you put that fabric down, in my professional experience, you're still going to have weeds.
Yes.
So I just want that was my only point to wood chips versus stone or whatever. In my professional experience, I've never really had issues with chips either. But that's just was throwing that out there, that it just was one thing to take into consideration for maintenance.
Right. Well, I mean, grass doesn't grow well out there. It would be water intensive, it would be mowing, and it would cost a lot to keep it looking green. And, so we're sort of fighting, and I don't want to use chemicals and pesticides and fertilizers and stuff in this area. So I just thought the wood chips would be a more natural looking thing, and with the trees and everything, we could work around all of that. Thanks, Brian Smith, the clap. And that being said, I think,
I have one more statement, please, Diane. I got my hand up. I know you can't see.
Go ahead.
Also, Matt, I'm sorry you don't have a picture, but mine is more pressed towards rock gardens than more plants, because I know obviously weeding and all that other stuff is time intensive. If you use the wood chips, you use the rocks. I'm not saying you used a pesticide, but there is other ways of killing any weeds or grass that are coming up through them. Again, you're the expert, so you know better than I. But there are other ways of stopping that from coming through the wood and the gravel. And if we limit the zone of where the plants are, then you can only weed, say, 3 small areas as opposed to the entire circle.
Right. Well, I think we can take that into consideration, and sort of even when you put something out there, if somebody's up there with the landscaper, we can certainly address those concerns. Things like that change as they're being done once you get a better look at it and everything else. But in the meantime, I think it's more prudent to vote to start doing this, to start this process of landscaping the front, because it's just a time-sensitive issue. So if there are any other comments, questions on this?
And Madam Chairwoman, I don't know if I mentioned, I did send to Ed Sheehan Brian Frazzetti's proposal for his markups. So he has that information. He'll probably get back to us tomorrow.
Okay, but I really do want to take a vote on this tonight.
Oh, no, that's what I mean. Yeah, moving forward, but he does have that information as well.
Okay. So I'm looking for a motion to accept the bid of Ed Sheehan to begin the landscaping process for in front of the lodge.
So moved.
Thank you, John Zuko. Would anybody second it? Nobody wants to second it?
Oh, I got muted, sorry. I have a second, but the only thing I would ask to do is have a site visit with him.
And that's fine.
Definitely.
In other words,
of course,
approve it going forward, but us have a site, so
yeah,
we can all agree on one final plan.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
All righty.
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. No, you're seconding.
All right, second.
Okay, all those in favor, Melissa?
Aye.
Thank you. Brian Smith?
Aye.
Thank you. John Zuko?
Aye.
Okay, and Brian Frazzetti?
Aye.
And Joan Frazzetti? Aye, and I'm aye. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Next on the agenda, the kayaks.
Excuse me, I didn't vote.
I did call you, Joan.
I know you did, but my mute was on.
I thought you went like this. I apologize.
My hand was up. Are we voting on accepting Ed Sheehan to do the work? Is that what
Yes.
we're voting?
Yes.
But we haven't voted on which picture we want to go with.
Brian said pending a site visit so that you can talk details.
Okay.
That was the way it was presented.
Okay, that part I didn't get. Okay, that's what my question was. Okay, so I vote for accepting Ed Sheehan to do the work.
Thank you. Okay, the kayaks for summer season. John Zuko, I'm going to give that to you. You're muted, or you're frozen, or something's wrong. I think you're muted.
You asked me a question?
I was muted. Sorry. Okay, so
Okay.
Roger had a gig tonight, so he couldn't be here. But I sent Dory and Diane some questions that he had. Let me figure, he has 20 kayaks and 8 paddle boards available. Excuse me. And 2 tandem kayaks as well. All the kayaks are sit inside with large open cockpits, which means that if the kayak tips over, you'll fall out. You won't get stuck inside the kayak and drown. He has some concerns. Are we renting them out to kids alone on the boards of kayaks? Is it going to be time sessions, 1 to 2 hour periods with adult supervision? He'd rather do programs during the work so he could spend time and do some lessons there. Like me, he does DJ and do other things, so he's usually busy on weekends. Of course, life jackets and waivers and waivers will be mandatory. Minors must be accompanied by an adult. And he was just asking him any options, what else you can think of if they have Camp K rentals, boards, renting boards or kayaks for certain amounts of hours or days.
Okay, so I have, John, I think I'm a little confused. Is he talking about just renting the kayaks or the paddle boards or whatever? Is he talking about teaching lessons or running a program or what?
He can do lessons in the program. He can do lessons in the program. So either, or he's open to suggestions for either way on the kayaks or the boards. So
Okay,
he can straight rentals, programs.
Then
whatever.
can he tell us or put together something to present to us so that we can vote on it?
Yeah, sure. Yep. Yep.
All
I'll
right,
have to
that'd
do
be
that.
great. I mean, we'd love to have more access to those
Yeah.
things, but
Yeah.
obviously, you would need to charge for them.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then unless he's there running a program himself,
Yeah.
that would require, if he wasn't there to run a program, we can't rent them because we don't even have anybody down at the beach.
Right.
To take money, to sign waivers or anything like that, because we had voted to open the beach, swim at your own risk.
Right.
So
it would be more like him running a program then. You can't just rent them out. Okay.
Right.
Yep. Okay, I'll let him
So
know
maybe
that.
he could put something together. I mean, that's going to be a simple one to,
Yep.
that would be simple to implement, and,
Mhm.
it wouldn't even have to start right away. You could do it after July 4th or whatever.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
we would like to let people know it's coming, so the sooner the
Mhm.
better.
Okay, we'll do.
All right. Thanks, John.
Mhm. You're welcome.
Okay. Next on the agenda is choosing a vendor to sanitize the kitchen floor at Needles Lodge. Dory?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. So you have before you 2 quotes. We ended up getting 2 back, and one is the first one is the cost is $375, and it gives you the process. The second one is $1,338, and I just kind of put in the process. And from my opinion, I don't see, frankly, I think the $375 is a little bit more detailed, and they actually say that they would repeat the process if it's not up to their liking. So I don't see any difference or any reason, in my opinion, to go with the $1,338. I couldn't come up with any reason for that.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Are there any questions, comments, concerns about this? No? Okay.
Do we know do we know who the person is doing the $375 cleaning?
Yeah, they're EnviroMaster
Okay.
Brian
of
Smith.
Rhode Island, but they do this area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan Smith, do you know anything about them?
No, I've seen those trucks though, but I'm just concerned that what were they doing for $1,000 outside of
Yeah.
replacing it?
Yeah, we're not using them. Yeah.
I
You know,
Okay.
you know what I gained out of that was the square footage. They said that they charge $2 a square foot, and we have 700 square feet. Because what they told me they did, like the mechanical agitation versus the other, which I found out is the same thing, the machine, which they said to suck up the grease, but that was kind of funny. But the only thing I can think of is that this company, the clean team, just charged more based on the square footage. I
Yeah.
don't see that they were giving us anything more, and in fact less, because the one that was less said if it wasn't up to their satisfaction, they would redo steps 1 through 4.
Yeah, that's automated scrubbers. I mean, this isn't going to take that long, and the floor is not
Yeah.
that bad, with the exception near the ovens, and that can
Yeah.
be manually done too. So
Yeah.
that The
So-
$1,000 one is out, way off.
I
So
thought
we'll entertain a motion then to accept, and I think it's Enviro. I had it up a minute ago, but now I have it over here.
EnviroMaster.
EnviroMaster's quote to have them sanitize the floor in the kitchen of the Needles Lodge. Would anyone like to put forth that motion?
I so moved.
Thank you, Joan. John, you were muted. Um,
I second.
Thank you, John. Okay, all those in favor? Melissa,
Aye.
Brian Smith,
Aye.
Brian Frazzetti,
Aye.
John Zuko,
Aye.
Joan Frazzetti.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, I'm an aye. All right. Since we're going into 3 hours here, I'm going to put aside the continued discussion on a Boy Scout package because Mr. Santarelli had to leave right now. And I will follow up with him during the week. We're going to do just so everybody's up to date. The Scouts do plan on tenting for a weekend in May. They're going to pitch tents in the north end beside cabins. We walked the camp and it seemed to be the most flat and conducive to tent camping. And there were 2 fire pits there, and they also want to do some ceremonies for kids that flew up to Eagle Scout, and now, you know, they want to actually have the ceremony. So they're going to be able to do that, and if they do it outside, they can adhere to all the social distancing rules. We're also going to walk the camp because they have a lot of upcoming Eagle Scouts that are looking for projects. And I think I spoke with Brian and Brian this week already about some of those. So we can discuss those after maybe we solidify a little bit more. And they're also going to be renting, I believe it's the entire north end, Dory, correct me if I'm wrong, for camping in July.
Yes, the north end,
They're going to be using cabins.
the cabins. Yeah.
And they've got about 30 to 40 kids with another 10 to 20 adults, many of whom are serve safe. So we just have to finalize the rental on the use of the kitchen in the lodge and to determine a food package that they would use from Fork in the Road. Other than that, I have nothing else. Do we want to move on to team reports? I'm going to start with the Cove then. I do have for next meeting, the presentation of someone who is going to propose swimming lessons at the camp. And we would have to go through the proper process, but again, I'm going to state my opinion that we strongly need to provide swimming lessons for kids that just need that half hour of swimming lesson, whose parents want them to have a basic knowledge of swim and who don't want to send their kid to an all day or half day camp. And that's it for me. Is there anybody else? John Zuko, go ahead.
Yeah, Melissa, can you just send me a list of what needs to be added now to the website for upcoming events?
Yep.
And
And I'll tell you what to take down and whatever.
Yeah.
I'll look
Yeah,
at it.
I'll take down the past stuff tonight. Yep.
Great.
Melissa, did you want to talk about for the next meeting at all that we want to put on the agenda? Are we movie night vendor people or anything?
Yeah, so I was thinking bringing back the some version of the movie nights that we did last summer. I don't know if I really want to keep it at the camp, but we can talk about it next meeting, maybe doing a beach movie night, right on the beach, which might be cool. So yeah, we can put that on the agenda for next meeting. And then just this past week, so this is April vacation for kids. We had the 2 paint night. Well, we have a paint night Tuesday, and then we have a paint night tomorrow, paint session. It's at 2:00. We had 17 people for Tuesday, 17 kids. And then we had I think we have 15, registered for Thursday. So we had a really good turnout. And then we also had the drama kids do some workshops today. So we had some activity and it was positive, and I think I attended the first one. I'm taking Caitlin to the second paint night tomorrow. So
And they also did the library program, and that was
Yep.
very successful. It was a lot of older kids, which was really nice to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think it was a beautiful morning for it. And I think, yeah, I think there was some positive. There was actually some walkers that commented. They saw and heard it on the barrage. So that was kind of cool. So.
Okay. Anything else? Brian Frizzetti, didn't you speak to the Blodgett oven guy?
Yep, talked to the Blodgett oven guy. He promised me, because I know where he works now, that he would be there either Monday or Tuesday. He did say that he would come, he would call Dory ahead of time because, you know, she's in and out, she's got things to do. So he knows that she isn't always there at a set time. So that should be hopefully taken care of by the end of next week, if everything works out as it should, which he doesn't seem to think there's going to be an issue at all. He's actually going to jack that stove up and pull it completely out of there. So that way he gets a full circle of everything. Also touching upon briefly, Samantha and the rest of the comm has to kind of get involved in this unless they want to just allow the conversation to go between me, Brian, you, and Dory about the location of the gazebo. I had gone over with you because you were there that day about, you know, a potential spot for it. You seem to agree, as far as I know, with putting it. It's more towards. As a matter of fact, John Zuko knows too.
Yeah.
It would be more towards the north end. It's set back. It's enough room where you can put seating along the whole thing. You don't have to fight with the parking lot. Don't have to fight with the cars. If there's someone that's handicapped, they can pull up the north end road and enter from the side, and the handicap ramp would be up the back side. So the design is still being worked on, Diane. I know you talked to her about where she could potentially get some wood that would fit the landscaping a little better.
And I just think it was a really good suggestion. So thank you, Brian and Brian, to have it as an entertainment place. You know, could have little bands there, you know, whatever. I thought it was nice, and it's a nice area. You can bring your lawn chair out, sit, listen to some music, whatever. It's a nice thing to add to the camp.
Then Brian, do you want to hit the dumpster?
Yeah,
I'd like to hit the dumpster.
I'll be bringing the vendor either Friday or the beginning of next week, and we'll stake out what we propose. And I'll pick his brain in regards to clearances, and we'll research that in regards to how close it can or can't be to the building. So, and how far back and access to it. So more to come on that.
Okay.
Just so everyone knows, sorry, Diane, because I don't know how up to date everybody else is. What we're basically looking to do is potentially take the dumpster where it is now, get rid of that ratty fence that's falling apart anyways, and put up a new chain link fence with the slats that are through it so you can't see the dumpster.
Yeah, it's privacy slats, yeah.
Right. And those slats would match the camp dynamic, so it wouldn't be, you know, some crazy purple pink or any of that stuff.
There are different colors you can pick.
Right.
Okay. That being said, is there anything else?
Oh, facilities, Maddie. Maddie's here, right?
Oh, hi, Maddie. I know I saw you there, but I didn't want to be. Hi, Maddie.
Hi.
Something that if I could, Maddie brought up, and I'd like to get some input from the Recreation Commission. We could probably approve this pretty quick because it's not going to cost a lot of money. But she had talked to me, and I apologize, Maddie, it's taken me this long, but fortunately I saw your name. She was talking to me before about potentially painting the north end door, the cabin doors, one color, and the south end cabin doors a different color. So that way, if you're referring to north, you have one color sequence, and south would be another. And it makes sense because it looks better.
Totally.
Right now, some of it aren't painted, some of them are half ripped off, but
No,
I just thought it was a good idea on her end.
it's a great idea because it's definitely, Maddie, a teacher idea. I get it. And yep, because you just can't even say the north end. Go to the blue doors. Go to the green doors. It's just a lot easier. But yes, I think that's a great idea. The craft cabin door definitely needs to be repainted. So, but anyway,
Is this something where we could, through Dory or Maddie, either one of you guys, could we either have Ed or Maddie maybe get a price on it for our next meeting of what it would cost to get the paint? And then that way we can maybe vote on buying the paint and having it done.
sure.
Yeah,
That way
before
Maddie,
everybody-
talking to Ed,
Go
we
ahead,
might already
Maddie.
have paint in the basement.
Great.
Oh, okay.
We have tons of paint in the basement, so we might already have paint, or I don't know. You'd have
I
to
think
talk
we
to
have
Ed.
a
He's
lot of
got so much
leftover
stuff down
paint.
there.
I think we have a lot of leftover paint from the bathhouse down at the Cove too.
It's a pretty light green. For those cabins, you might want to go a little darker just to match the aesthetic, maybe.
Yeah, no, I meant from the bathhouse down at the Cove, the cranberry color too.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. While we have you on here, Maddie, I want to just tell the rest of the commission members about, Dory had told me about the situation that you came across during the quinceañera event. And some people were not social distancing and
Shocking.
yeah, I know. And they weren't adhering to rules. So I want to make it very clear that you are not responsible for that. What I would say is the proper protocol is for you to talk to the host and ask him or her to request of their guest that they follow the rules by wearing their masks or whatever, the rules are as they change. And what I think, and people, please give me your opinions on this. If that person is still refusing to comply, I don't know if you want to, first strike, second strike, third strike, you're out, or ask the host to ask them once and ask them twice. And the third time we call the police into the picture. But I don't think it's right that the caretakers have that responsibility, other than beyond asking them, beyond asking the host. Brian, go ahead.
I agree 100% with that. I mean, whether it be Maddie, whether it be Jen or Bill or whoever the caretaker is at the time, should go right to the host. We do have a policy in there that any non-compliance from a host, they can be ejected from the premises and still have to pay for the rental at the same time. That's been in policies and procedures for a while. I don't think it's ever been used or it's really gotten to that point.
Right.
But if need be, there is that policy. Obviously, you'd have to call the police, let them deal with it. But yeah, I would probably, I mean, Corona's been around long enough. I would consider it maybe a one and a half strike policy. But no, Maddie shouldn't, or any caretaker shouldn't have to deal with it at all.
Yeah, you go through the host, Maddie, okay?
I did. But that's just what I was wondering is we've just never had an event yet really where we've had to deal with this. And we just wanted to know what exactly are our protocols? What do we need to do going forward? And then hopefully we'll throw them away when it's over. But we just don't know how to approach any of these situations yet because we haven't had to do them, especially when weddings are going to be bigger events. This was considering a small one. We just want to know what's in place and what we're responsible to take care of and how we do it.
Okay.
As someone that does weddings, and I just did one last week, no one had a friggin' mask on. They were just,
Well, I think as more and more people get vaccinated,
yeah,
they're feeling like they don't have to.
Yeah.
And, so many weddings are close friends and families. I mean, I'll be very honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a wedding outside in a tent and with 50 people, none of us wore masks.
Yeah.
So, and nor would I. So
yeah.
In that particular situation, but this is an indoor thing. We are a town property and we need to adhere to it.
Right. And just don't get yourself killed. That's always just, if it gets to a point, call the police.
I'll try.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but that being said, we also do need to, keep Gil. He needs to inform us as the rules change.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Is there anything else that anybody has to discuss? Go ahead, Brian.
Just a quick 2-second thing. I know it's been mentioned twice. I know I've talked to you a couple times about it, Dory. Have you gotten an okay from the TA to take that phone that was given to someone else at the camp? So that way people don't have to use your personal phone to call you on anymore?
Oh, you know, I didn't, I do have that laptop and that phone, so I can certainly, I'm sure, get that approval. I will do that. Yeah.
I know you get like a ton on your plate, but I feel
Yep.
a lot more comfortable if they were calling a town phone rather than everybody having your phone number.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, I will do
Especially
that.
since I don't have. I wouldn't
You
give it
have
to
my
me
number.
either, but
I'm not giving it to anybody. All right. So our next meeting will be May 3rd.
Madam Chairwoman, if I
Yeah,
may,
oh.
under department head update?
Oh, sorry,
Can I
go
just-
ahead.
No problem. Just one quick thing. So we had a request and it's basically, it's for a request to have a wedding on the deck, just the wedding ceremony only, okay? No reception, no anything, probably an hour, hour and a half max. And the question was what they wanted to do, you know, because of COVID, they want to have the wedding, just the wedding party, the photographer, and have the pictures taken on our deck. And then they would leave. They would not need access into the lodge, you know, for any reason. So the question was, what do we put a price on that? So I can just tell you my thinking, if you want me to. My thinking is that we've already established in our rate structure that if you have a ceremony and reception, say for a Saturday, it's $5,000. If you have the reception without the ceremony, it's less 500. So in my mind, my feeling is that we've already placed a value of $500 on that, whether they're for an hour and a half, or 2 hours. That's just my thinking, to throw that out there for you to come up with a rate that we would charge people, because they want to, I've had 2 requests. They want to get married there, and then they want to go back to their backyard where they don't have to deal with any COVID regulations.
Right.
So I've had 2 requests. So I'm thinking this might be an up and coming thing.
I think you're right about that. I think people are looking for any way to skirt around wearing masks and everything for these events.
Exactly.
To lead a normal life. So I would agree with your $500 assessment, because that's what we had put forth before. I think we went through this. So if there are no other questions on that, I think we can vote to say that, yes, John.
I'm just looking at some stuff real quick. The Bridal Association of America, the average cost of a wedding ceremony location is $435, but I think the 500, that's just one thing I'm saying.
Yep.
So
I think $500 is in the ballpark.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah.
And you know, if they wanted it for an hour and a half,
right,
up to 2.
Up to 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
2 would be fine. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Because by the time they get there and they say their goodbyes and all that stuff, it'll be 2 hours.
And just tell them, you know, our policy is that it's $500 and you can have up to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of this, well, if I only use an hour, can I only pay $250? No.
Right.
Yeah, that
no,
includes,
exactly.
I mean, that includes the staff, the caretakers too, right? Caretaker.
Well, now that was my second question, because if they're outside and they don't need access to the lodge at all, I'm thinking maybe there are, you know, not a need for caretakers, but if they do like need the restroom and they need the lodge, then definitely the cost of the caretakers that would come into play.
Right.
So I think it would be, you know, no use of lodge, $500, use of lodge, you know, the staff.
I would include it in
15
with the use of the lodge.
I would include it in with use of the lodge.
Yeah, the 500,
And also if they're not in the lodge, it's a public building anyway, and you don't have to charge.
Right.
But hold on, Brian, I see your hand. But I think a bridal party should have access to the lodge.
To the restroom.
Yeah, to the restrooms.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, if you're in your full garb and everything, you're going to want to primp and check your makeup and stuff. So go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I would agree. I would do the 500, probably include the caretakers if it's like John said, another one is for something. Throw a caretaker in there. They're not going to be really doing anything but kind of watching. But also if we don't charge this and we say, well, it's a public thing, then we're going to set a precedent and everybody's going to start having free weddings down at the camp.
Right.
I know.
So we need to charge it, and I think the caretaker is included.
Yeah.
And should I
Caretaker, use
schedule?
the bathroom, yeah.
Yep.
Even if in and out, if they say I don't even need it, I just want the
Yeah.
outside. It'll still be $500, of course.
Yeah.
But should I schedule a caretaker anyway, just in
Yeah.
case?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll say no. You need access to the lodge because
Yeah, people have to go to the bathroom, yeah.
It's the policy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
yeah,
our
yeah, yeah.
policy.
That's part of the policy.
Mhm.
I like that. If you're on our deck, you're in our lodge, and that's the $500.
Okay. Brian, please be quick. I really need to wrap up here. Come on.
Sorry. Two things. One, it's a rental agreement, so we have to have a caretaker anyways, to cover us. Two, I just want to check with Matt. Is this something that has to go to the Board of Selectmen, or it's not really a discounted rate, so it doesn't? If
No,
Matt
it's
knows.
not. It was in our rates that
It's
were
our rate
already
structure
approved.
anyway.
Our rates were already approved.
Yeah.
Matt?
Go ahead, Matt. Thank you.
I would say that this is a new fee. I would say that just to be on the safe side of things, that you would want the Board of Selectmen to approve this new rate. Right, because this is a whole new fee structure that you're adding onto your existing fee, correct?
It's a different program.
No,
We charge $5 an hour, but it's new. It is
No,
new.
we do have a ceremony only. That's already been approved.
Yeah.
Okay, well then, yeah, so if you already have a ceremony that's already approved, then that's fine.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I mean, I've just never seen a list of anything spelled out of like weddings, this ceremony only. I mean, me personally haven't seen that. So if
Okay.
it's already on that fee structure that you're speaking of, then I would say you're fine.
Okay.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So our next meeting will be on the 3rd.
Diane, can I just mention that we do have the cleanup this weekend? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
We do have 6, just so you guys know, we have 6 volunteers on Saturday and 16 on Sunday. So we've got some families with kids. I did talk to Dory about inventorying rakes. Maybe I don't know how many we have, Dory, if we have to buy some more, and also getting gloves.
All set.
Can we put
So-
Brian and Brian on the getting all the things we need for that?
Already done.
Great.
If I may, so Ace Hardware had this red hot, unbelievable sale today. So we got 12 huge rakes on
Nice.
sale for $11.99.
Nice.
Which is, they were regularly like $30.
Nice.
And we've got masks, gloves, waters, disinfectant, trash bags.
I think,
everything
Diane, I
we
know
need.
you're going to be there on Saturday. Like maybe we should have a 6-foot table set up just so people can check in. I just want to make sure that when volunteers show up, that they're not like lost. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
The
And we have a
National Honor
caretaker there.
Society coming?
Yep. And we have a caretaker there. Jen's going to be there for both days. And we
Okay.
have an event on Saturday. So Jen's going to be there for that. But we'll have a caretaker there for the whole cleanup, and all the supplies are in place.
What's the event for Saturday?
60th birthday party.
Very nice.
And they are very mask, totally into the mask. I had a big conversation with them today, so I don't anticipate any problems. They're totally on board. I thought like 60, when I'm thinking of it, I'm like, oh, so it's just like an old person. I'm like, wait a minute. No, it's not.
Younger than me.
It's just a young person. What am I talking about? I better call and make sure they're not going to be drinking fools. So anyway, yeah, but it's cute because it's at 11 o'clock. 11 to 4. No, 1 to 5. But they coming in at 11. So that'll be fine though, because the cleanup will be outside. Yoga will be leaving, and that'll give Maddie and Jen a half hour to clean up, and then
Great.
they'll coming in.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, John. I just want to, wait a minute, the 3rd and the 17th, is those good for
Yep.
people?
Let me check the 17th. Third's good.
Yep, that's fine.
17th is fine. Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, motion to adjourn. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, just say aye.
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 Brian Smith, I want to hear your aye.
Aye.
Brian, what did you say? I didn't hear him.
All right. Good night, Matt.
Night.
Bye, Maddie.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.